Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Welcome in, Panther fans. It's another edition of the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Tonight's show, do the Carolina Panthers have a newfound confidence? We'll see if the Carolina Panthers can play spoiler. Houston, does Chicago have a problem? And is that problem Carolina going on a run? Well, if 9 points in a single game has encouraged me to think it's possible, then I encourage you to also think it's possible. Man, I feel like a winner.
Hey.
I feel like a winner. It's Tuesday, 9 p.m., longest running Panthers podcast. It's been a long slog of a season. The Panthers are 2-12. But one of those two wins came last week against the Atlanta Falcons. And if there's a team that you want to beat, for me, it is the Atlanta Falcons. And I have found some joy in watching those fan video misery of them ready to burn down their house because Carolina rained on their parade. Hey. Let's chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. What's up, Cody?
Oh, man, let me tell you, anytime that our Carolina Panthers, beat the Atlanta Falcons, bro, it's a good week. I don't give a damn what nobody says. Look, man, it's a Tuesday night. There's nowhere in the world I'd rather be than here with my boys talking Carolina Panthers. And we have a big show tonight, man. Even when there's nothing going on, we've got a big show. We're going to talk about the abysmal attendance in Bank of America Stadium. We're going to talk about Bryce Young having his best game of the season. We're going to preview this Packers game a little bit, talk about that, why this defense is still surprisingly so good yet so bad at the same time. I know CK's got some thoughts about it, but, man, we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. Tony, you know them and love them. It's our guy, Panther Pickle, Aiden Guthrie, Joey the Blind Panther. What's up, buddy? The brand ambassador, Diesel Skills. What's up, bro? Kobe Griffin, Easy Did That, Harvey London, Hemlock. How about that freaking Puerto Rican in the chat room? Joey Alano, we love to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. Kristen Ledane, taking a break from wrapping gifts to join us tonight. What's up, Kristen? Mr. Strats, our Paisan Muscles Marinara. What's up, brother? Promise QS Panda, Rare Gamer 99, Roosevelt Mongo, the Jadarius Experience, and Tim Estes. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
If you love the Carolina Panthers, hate the Atlanta Falcons, stand up and jump on that thumbs up button right now. Subscribe to the C3 Panthers podcast. We're live every Tuesday night here after every game, but we rock and roll all throughout the year. We're taking your calls tonight at 252-228-5098. CK, man, I would say this is that for one moment we got a respite from the Bryce Young discussion, but then everybody took a breath and went right back to it. But hey, we've got a glimpse of some decent football. I was listening to the post-game show that we did today when I was Ubering people around at one point, and you said, man, it was nice to see people play some good football. The Panthers may not have scored a lot of points this past week, but they played some good football, special teams, defense, and late drive march led by Bryce Young. How you feeling a couple of days removed? Are you feeling still good as a winner?
Yeah, dude. I have no complaints about what I feel at this point. I was willing to actually go and look at Panthers media and the NFL websites and just kind of see what's going on there. I wasn't looking for Panthers related content, but I wasn't just trying to escape football for a short period of time. And so I think that's always a positive when you can come away from a week feeling like we really don't have as much to complain about as we usually would. And I'll be honest. I mean, whereas I think that there's still the discussion and there's still people at each other's throats, I think this has allowed people to actually kind of go and get upset at other people about other things, i.e. something that we'll talk about a little bit later. But man, it's been a good day, man. It's been a good week, and having it coalesce right before a holiday, it's always a good thing.
Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we will have a show. I guess the next show will be the day after Christmas, so we'll have one before the new year. We'll have a post-game show in there as well. So thank you guys for your support, for all the people in the chat. Again, you can support the podcast by smashing that thumbs up button, subscribing, checking us out on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Leave a review, rate us there, and maybe consider being a C3 super fan for just $1.99 a month, or supporting the podcast in any other way monetarily that you see fit. Let's jump into the show. I went to confession tonight, guys, because it's the last opportunity for us Catholics, or at least this was I think it's the last opportunity before Christmas masses begin on Saturday. And I want to open the confessional to Panther fans. I think for the first time, we're going to confess some optimism, or at least not just dreariness in this situation, as the Carolina Panthers, I guess, have found. You know what? I'm taking that back. Am I holding on too much to just a 9-7 win as optimism? This newfound confidence. We have won the Carolina Panthers have won 2 games. I'm sitting here. I feel like it's like this it's just like I got some scraps off the table and I feel fed.
Yeah, I mean, look, we beat the Falcons. Anytime we beat the Falcons, like we said, it's a good week. And yeah, listen, did Desmond Ridder throw an interception to give us the ball back right at the end of the game when they were driving? Yeah, he did. Did we fail to score an offensive touchdown? Yeah, we did. But you know what, Tony? The good thing about not having a first-round pick this next draft is that now we don't have to hear the fan base bitch the fact that we won, and they're like, oh, we messed up our draft pick. No, dude, we don't even have one. So who cares, man? Right now, we're playing for that 34th pick in the draft. I mean, listen, man, you have to hold on to a W as many times as you can with these current Panther teams. And Tony, let's be real. One of the biggest reasons why Panther fans are feeling good about it is they felt like they saw a little something from Bryce Young finally, man. Bryce Young had his best game of his rookie season. He had a 78.0 PFF grade versus Atlanta. He had a game-winning drive to bring the Panthers down the field and get them into scoring range for Eddie Pinheiro to win the game for us. That's right, kickers do win and lose games. But Bryce Young also played a big part in this. And a lot of fans are feeling like they've had some questions answered. We've been talking about, did Bryce answer any questions in his rookie season? And a lot of people feel like, okay, well, scratch off the weather game off the list because Bryce was able to move the ball. He was able to make some nice throws.
I never even thought of it like that until you brought it up.
Well, this has been the big topic of discussion on Twitter. Again, me being a hater, right? I'm of the mindset that this didn't necessarily prove that Bryce has the arm in a bad weather football game, but it didn't hurt it either, man. I mean, he mounted a game-winning drive. How are we feeling about Bryce Young? Did that boost everyone's confidence about Bryce? Did you feel a little bit better about him moving into next year, especially in that second half?
Did anybody get to see this clip floating around about where Chris Long is talking about context and how it matters?
No.
Okay, so
I can pull that up if you'd like me to.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll get dinged for it or not. I'm not really.
Probably.
And he said this is that he was asked the question about like what's the one thing that kind of bothers him the most about media coverage, or I forget how the question was posed. And he went into saying this is that we make a lot of conclusions based on, kind of almost anecdotal evidence rather than looking contextually at what's going on. And he referenced a lot of interesting points from whether, how they focus on sacks too much for defensive linemen, how you could look at, for instance, maybe Christian McCaffrey doing so well and just assume that he could do that in other situations. You then looked at, he brought up CJ Stroud, who he did say, look, he believes he's one of hims, like a him, a guy, like the guy, like a dude, a dog. But he said, you should, and he said he's not necessarily defending Bryce or even really trying to get too much into the Bryce Young thing, but just that the context of what's going on around Bryce Young on that squad also affects him. Now, the one thing I think was great about this is I felt like, look, I saw a lot of Panther fans referencing this and like, look, here's another example of a dude who knows football, knows ball, telling you guys how you don't know ball. Now, that already irritated me, but I felt like this is that if you're going to talk to us, or maybe I don't want to over defend our podcast. We're long form.
Do it.
We're long form. This is not hey, let's take a we got 2 minutes of airtime to get our points out there, and we're gonna make one one big strong overarching statement without context. I think if anything, this is a show where context matters a ton, and we sometimes over debate the context to the point where we forget we're talking about the context. But I bring this up because Bryce Young in really really horrendous conditions, right? I mean, if you think about the wind and the rain in that game, those are conditions that you really can't make them much worse, right? The only thing is, I mean, I guess you could do snow and rain. Like, I mean, it's windy, it's rain. It's not conducive for throwing the football. It's not conducive for a stat line that's going to make you feel sexy, or a sexy stat line. In fact, I heard someone mention this today, is that the reason they only ran 4 receivers in that lineup, and we're thinking about Terrace Marshall Jr. in some of that context potentially, was, hey, we're not going to be throwing the ball a lot. We're going to be running the ball a lot. We need all our running backs available. We need all the linemen available. And so there's some context for this. But I think what we saw here is that what we truly hope, or what we believed, and that is, with good circumstances or decent circumstances, particularly protection, that Bryce Young can get it done. Right? I mean, he can thrive. Now, he didn't go take over the game. He didn't go and do something that made him go, well, it's undecidedly clear that he's a game changer and this and that. But we have not seen Bryce Young in an opportunity where we get to judge him without going, oh, this poor guy has no receivers. This poor guy has no offensive line. The Panthers' offensive line gave him some protection. And I think if we could just see that over more than just a quarter, more than just a couple of drives, and maybe even more than just one or two games, then we could really start to feel, hey, can this guy develop some rhythm? Can the Panthers do some things? And I just don't think it's as bad as it has been, but I'm not necessarily going, hey, everything's solved. Look, Bryce Young can play well in this league. I know he can. It's just a question of, can the Carolina Panthers get it right to help him thrive? And right now, I think that's the bigger fear than Bryce Young's ability is, can the Carolina Panthers assemble a team that can give us enough time to get him to a place where he can become a dog.
Right. CK, I'm going to let you go next, but real quick, I want to make sure we get these super chats. Jerry with the $4.99 says, Bryce is the hit of the draft. Stroud is coach dependent. Kingham had 229 yards as a backup. Richardson is injury prone. Levis is good, but not elite. So somebody's seeing the upside of Bryce compared to his other rookie contemporaries. And the rare gamer with the $5 says our success with power gap run teams suggests upgrading interior O-line in 2024 for a stronger performance and a resurgence of the keep pounding culture. That's another discussion I wanted us to have later. But go off of what Tony said, CK.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the part of this, and I think we said this after the Texans game, it didn't answer the question, right? It still left a bit of a, I can, it's sort of like if you have COVID, right? And you lost all taste. Like there's a part you can almost taste, but it's not gone entirely, but whatever you're tasting tastes good, right? You just don't get that full flavor profile that you would be normally accustomed to because you're dealing with something else impacting that. I think that's what you're dealing with when you see performances like this from Bryce, right? You're seeing the potential start to arise. What I think you're ultimately hoping this would do is build his confidence and allow him to start doing what he did in that game, and that is trust his guys. Trust his guys to go after the ball. I think he lost that trust early in the year because a lot of those interceptions we saw were off of lazy route running. That we saw bad decisions by Bryce. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything off of him from that perspective. But when he did throw those balls to those guys to try to allow them to go after the ball, they didn't, and the opposing defense did. And that fell on Bryce's shoulders. And so I think there could be a trust component that he's going to have to start trying to get back, especially now that you're seeing DJ Chark make that type of a catch. You're seeing Mingo not necessarily completely fail at all levels like he had been all year.
He's actually strung a couple of decent games together.
Right. And he's been fighting for those balls. I mean, there was one where I think that it looked like he just gave up entirely on a ball, but that's beside the point. But I think these guys are fighting a little bit more, and I think that confidence in seeing what they were willing to do in the rain when their backs were against the wall, having to drive down the field for 87 yards. I think that's something that you're hoping he can build off of instead of the constant, can I trust Mingo not to just run the laziest route ever? Can I trust that, Thielen's going to have the speed in this one to actually make it to where I'm throwing the ball? Things like that.
Cody, you mentioned in the post-game show that you didn't think Bryce was the story in this game. And I agree with you, too, because the defense really put this team in a position to win or in any position. But I think one thing and to give some context to this or what I'm trying to say with Bryce, and like CK said, is that, you didn't answer any, you haven't solidified and answered questions fully by any means, and nor can you in one game or one season. Let me just be clear about this, is I don't care if Bryce doesn't have any good games or anything like that. I don't think in one season you can make a referendum on a player of such an important and difficult position as it is at quarterback. But this was the first game, Cody, where it didn't feel like that the Bryce sexuals had to scrap and claw for a reason of why he wasn't part of the problem, right? Bryce was not, whatever problems you wanted to give this team on this game. And I mean, I guess you could say is like maybe he could have done some more or something at some point, but I don't think given the
no turnovers, no
turnovers. He was
high
positive,
high completion percentage.
He was throwing the ball down the field and actually connecting with receivers. I I don't think that there's much you can, to Tony's point, I don't think that's the benefit of this game is there's nothing that you can put on. Like when we talk about they still didn't score a touchdown. You can't put that on Bryce.
Dropped. Yeah.
Can't put that on Bryce.
Didn't go forward and at the end and a dropped one. I just felt like being that we've gotten that polarized Bryce Young discussion so much where you have the people that say he sucks, that the blah, 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 he's a butt, whatever. And then you have the other people that say, oh, fuck no, he's elite. All of this to the extreme. This was a game that finally said this is like, I almost want to say a non-story. Bryce was a non-story in a good way. Is that
that's what I'm saying? Like
I agree.
When I say that, like he wasn't the reason that we won. He wasn't the reason that we lost. Bryce played well, and he has played better, even compared to what he has in recent games. So it was that marginal, incremental improvement. And again, in my mind, he wasn't the story of the game. He was.
I do agree with CK. I do agree with CK that he was part of the reason we won, right? Like this was one of those games where he was part of the reason we did well, and he wasn't part of the reasons we didn't do well, which is all check, 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 check.
Right. Like that, isn't that exactly what when you say, again, game manager, here's the thing. I think that when you draft a guy like Bryce, that's almost what you're drafting, right? You're not drafting somebody who's got this super athletic, like he's going to power over guys or what have you. Like Cam said, I don't mean that in a negative way. I think that game manager have an important piece. And honestly, I think they've been more successful in this league than the game changers have been in a lot of ways. When you look at the overarching theme of what's going on, except outside of Patrick Mahomes, obviously. But yeah, I mean, the negatives of the team were not on Bryce. The positives on the team were a contributor because of Bryce, right? But there was other pieces that were able to lift him up, and he was able to lift other people up. And on this team with Bryce, as Tony always says about other content creators in the Panthers, content creator, interface here is a rising tide lifts all boats. And so when you start to see these wide receivers play better, you start to see Bryce play better. When you start to see the O-line play better, you start to see Bryce play better. And so once you can kind of build all this around him and we can have a team of cohesion, I think you're going to see exactly why we drafted him number 1 overall.
It's just absolutely sickening, though, that it took 14 games for
us to even have this conversation,
for a level of competence on this team now. And mind you, that the team didn't even score a touchdown. They didn't even score 10 points. And yes, there are factors to consider why that was the case, but it felt like the entire reason you hired a Frank Reich in the first place was to get this just type of product earlier, which is just a little bit more professional. It really shouldn't have been like this. It really should not have been the case that Bryce Young, that no position group was better than Bryce Young or better capable from day one. Like, it's like it's almost like an entire team of rookies. It's like an entire team of undrafted rookies out there. It's just maddening to me that it took 14 games to get to a level of competence where you saw multiple things click. And I don't even need it to be on both sides of the ball at once. It's just the fact that you had one game where Bryce played well, the offensive line played well. It took 14 weeks. It's fucking bizarre.
Took 14 weeks, but the way I look at it is, like, even though we didn't score a touchdown, which easily could have been turned around, right? With different decisions from coaching and what have you. Again, we were in the red zone two times where we ran it on 4th and 1 and wasn't able to make it happen. And so there were points on the board that were left there because of certain decisions that we can go back and critique as a Monday morning quarterback, as they say. But I think the best part about what happened this week is it felt like the people that are, I wouldn't say even anti-Bryce, the overly critical of Bryce were able to actually say, okay, so we have the question. We're no longer just on the bust side of Bryce Young. We've moved that back towards a bit closer to center. And now we move forward into a new year and let's see what happens now.
Yeah, it was. And we finally just got, I guess, a couple of quarters of it strung together instead of a couple of plays.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. And it's also one of those things where neither side of the debate, if you're a Bryce Young lover or a Bryce Young hater, you're not really picking this performance for anything.
Right.
Like it was a good performance where Bryce did some good things, but it was also not a breakout moment where everybody could unanimously say, oh, Carolina has a star on their hands waiting at number one. And again, if you want to take that from that performance, that's fine. You're allowed to. I just don't think, and I know Thielen dropped a touchdown pass in the end zone, but I don't think that you can look at this performance and say, bro, this is the same thing like, when CJ Stroud threw 5 touchdowns or Will Levis threw for 300 yards. And it's
I think it would be unrealistic in the conditions.
I think it's unrealistic in the conditions, but I think what it does more than anything is it shows you how important the other pieces in an offense playing well, it dictates quarterback play. The ability to not have the pressure in your face every single time you drop back helps tremendously in making sure you're able to get the ball into your receiver's hands. Making sure your receivers are actually catching the ball when you're throwing it to them, even in a monsoon, helps tremendously in making Bryce look like he's playing well.
And he didn't start out perfect. I mean, if he's 18 from 20 for 24, those 6 incompletions, I feel like
in the first quarter.
Yeah, like it felt like there were some moments where it was just like typical, like, oh, are we ever going to connect on a play?
I'm going to be interested to see that. Because I would be interested to see, like, outside of the first quarter, once he got his bearings in the water and the rain and all that stuff, how he performed. Because I'm going to go look at the game book and see those play-by-play.
The other thing as you do that is, and this would be a good way to kind of build on Kev's question. Kev asked, if the defense doesn't get that interception, what would we be saying about Bryce's game? And I think you know what, you could take 5.
You would be saying the same thing.
You would take 5 completions off the board, though. He would have been 13 for what? Take 5 attempts out of there. 13 for 19.
I mean, even still, it's like, even if we lost, this performance wasn't that much outside of the range of what we're normally used to seeing.
No, we would not have gone, what we would have, you're right. Actually, you're just right.
We wouldn't have said, if that happened, we would not have said that Bryce was not the reason why we lost that game.
And then you would have a bunch of people that would say he was also not the reason, though, that we won. Right, that we could, 100%. But his last, I think this is the only thing that takes him outside of the game manager role to me, right? Is or could be. First, I don't like any of these.
There's no evidence for either of them.
No, I don't like any of these discussions where we use elite before players have been elite.
Right.
Like calling JC, it used to drive me nuts when everybody called JC Horn elite. I would say he had a potential to be an elite player, but until you're in the league doing this for a long time on a consistent level, I mean, look, just because Coney Ealy had one of the best games in the history of football in the Super Bowl,
it does mean
he's not an elite fucking player because, right? So I think the one thing, though, is that if Bryce isn't going to be categorized as elite or game changer because of his physical skill set of arm strength, speed, whatever it is,
right,
there is an elite trait that we hope that people have been trying to identify, and I think they tagged Bryce with it early, and that is clutch. The clutch gene, the Tom Brady gene, the Patrick Mahomes gene. In fact, to be honest, look, his Patrick Mahomes can throw a lot off platform. He's got a good arm and stuff like this. But his super trait is this. That shit is never over, bro. That game is never over. Is that if there's a time for them to go to any time, This motherfucker just feels it flows through him like the Force. It's like a Star Wars thing. The Force is strong in that one. And as people have watched quarterbacks with that it factor to them, and that it factor has clearly been beyond just physical traits. That's why I think they drafted Bryce, the clutch gene. And you've seen, I don't call it clutch because entirely, but it's like, look, fourth quarter when the thing mattered, he did it in the Houston game. He did it this one. He was part of the solution, not crumbling under the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to think that our opinion would be that across the board, winning or losing, like it was around what we expected from Bryce. I mean, this was not an offense that blew you away, but it also, it won when it needed to.
Well, so and a lot of the reasons for the drives that stalled out, by the way, like a lot of those reasons, luckily, I don't think we were overly penalized, which is good news. But the issues that we were having came actually in the run game. When we would run the ball, Miles Sanders was consistently getting loss of 7 yards, and trying to play a third down and 17 is next to impossible, right? I was just going through that book, and 3 of his incompletions were in the first quarter, Tony, by the way.
Okay.
But the amount of there were some false starts that, obviously started you off in a bad position. But there was a sack that ended one, that was a field goal. That we had gotten it down to like the 4-yard line. And, I think, there was another sack that got taken. There was a 10-yard penalty. We were 3rd and 8, and then Gabe Jackson had an offensive holding after Young's passed it for 26 yards to DJ Chark down to the 12 of Atlanta. That ended up causing us to punt from the Atlanta 48. I mean, there's a lot of these when you look at them, it's just very bad timing. That's caused this that our offense not to be able to really score when they should have been able to score. And that's just little things that I think that they can clean up with personnel and with better scheming from a coaching perspective. But listen, I'm not even fretting over the 9 points. I think that there was a lot of points that were left out on the field due to just dumb mistakes.
I'm fretting because there's nothing necessarily to jump for joy about. Yeah, I mean, it's people like, we won, right? It's like, yeah, we won against the Falcons, number 1. Number 2, it was our second win of the season. Number 3, the team only had 200 yards of offense or 240 yards of offense. Yes, all of these fucking mitigating circumstances, but we didn't get to go out there and just say we smoked these bitches.
No, it wasn't like 2015 when we won like 35-0. Yeah, not the same thing.
Let's go to the super chat because I do want to talk about the play calling briefly as CK brought that up.
So we'll start with this one then. BG says, let's be honest, he will never be worth the number 1 overall pick. All right.
Ouch.
Appreciate you, BG. And then our boy, Mr. Strat, says, but Tony, I got the data. Showed it on Twitter. Rank wasn't calling under center. Rank wasn't calling deep shots. It's really 3 games we should look at.
What, at all the Thomas Brown games, is he saying?
I mean, I think
that's being overly complimentary to Thomas Brown in this. And while I'm not trying to defend Frank Rank, I think that the problems that we're facing this team were so systemic on that. Now, that does fall on Frank Reich. He was the head coach, and he doesn't have a job anymore because of it. But it's not like the play calling in this game was just taking advantage of all this shit that the Falcons had, because there were 5 punts in a row or something like that in the first half.
Yeah.
To me, it's not as much about taking shots and some of this is sequencing, and maybe that's a word I just think sounds cool, but it's like, how do you pass on first down or third down, or the timing of that? And I felt like every time we tried to get aggressive in the first quarter and it didn't work out. And then once we had missed that opportunity on that aggressiveness, then we tried to play it safe and go, oh, well, we're going to run the ball here in these situations. But the Falcons at that point knew.
Right.
They knew. And it really just felt unpredictable. It felt predictable. And predictable because it had to. And it almost kind of shows you some of those greatest play callers that we love to put out there, Shanahan and this and that. They know how early on to put teams on their heels. And what happens when the Panthers try to do that and fail, then teams don't have to get on their heels. And so I really think I didn't think that the game was called all that great by Thomas Brown in the first half. And I think he got away from going under center in that first quarter. Like he started out in that first drive and right out the gate, you had an 8-yard run to Chuba or whatever it was. And then he got away from it. And if anything, I guess my credit or kudos to Thomas Brown is going in at halftime and kind of self-searching there and making the adjustment to, I guess, find ways to better sequence, to better call those runs, and maybe to do more under center. I think, though, it's not like all of a sudden I went, oh, fucking Frank Reich's the problem. Thomas Brown is being held back. This team, they did what they needed to do every game this year, which is win ugly. You know what I'm saying? It's right. Like this team was never in the shape to win and look cool doing it.
Right.
They needed to win. And you know what is that there wasn't the grit on this team early on or at all yet. I don't even know if they have it other than just this game. The grit to win ugly. This is the only game that we can build on, and they need to build on. But, guys, we said that after the Houston game, too.
Well, also in the Houston game, it was a game-winning kick that won that one.
Yeah, but that's grit. You're doing it ugly. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to win cool. We can win 9-7.
No other option. Yeah, you have to win. You have to win football games that way because you're literally not built to do anything else. Look, shout out to David Newton, who always does such a wonderful job at wording things in just the perfect fashion and manner. So the ESPN reporters do their own power rankings things. Again, we're 32, and he says we're number 1 in fewest fourth quarter plays with a lead. The number is 0. This is how the team has an NFL worst record. It's an odd stat because of Carolina's wins, including Sunday against Atlanta, came on walk-off field goals. The Panthers are also tied for first in successful 2-point conversions, 2 for 2, that's 100%, but having no plays with the lead in the fourth quarter pretty much sums up this season.
Not wrong. I've been telling you, David Newton
bad on this team.
I am so sick of the David Newton slander. I'm at the point where I think he's the best reporter on the East Coast. I think he's the best reporter in Panther history right now. I am a David Newton fan. In fact, what was the game we lost the week before the Falcons? It was on the road, the Titans or something. And someone caught a soundbite in the live press conference or whatever. And it said, I guess the only thing that could make this worse is if the plane crashed on the way home. And somebody goes, oh, I wonder who said that. And I was like, I know it's David Newton saying that. It's like, but he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong, dude. No. He is not wrong here. Is the Carolina Panthers, while we're trying to find any glimmer of hope, both of these 2 wins and this terrible they haven't led. I'm almost crazy. I'm almost surprised they've led at halftime any game.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're hopeful about that you're going to be able to put some players on this team and hopefully make this offense more explosive. By the way, shout out to our boy Anthony. Later on, we're going to talk about some breaking news of a rumor that he may have unearthed about who might be in consideration to be the Panthers' next GM. So, yeah, he's going to bring it up in
Anthony from Charlotte, C3 Anthony.
Absolutely,
Nice, okay.
the one and the only. He brings it up in the cat calls tonight.
I like this comment by Stephen Bailey.
Oh yeah, dude, Derek Brown's the best player on our team right now, and it's not even up for discussion.
If we're going to talk about PFF and where they ranked Bryce, they didn't even. I don't trust that at all. Even though I like that ranking of Bryce.
Sure, we can put that up too while you're talking.
They had 5 other players on defense ahead of Derek Brown, and 2 of them were defensive linemen that you wouldn't even know their names if you saw their numbers.
Yeah, he's literally not even in the top 5 of PFF. PFF has Troy Hill, in order: Troy Hill, Jatur Gross-Matos, Nick Thurman. How does Nick Thurman have a better grade?
He made a couple of good run stops or something like that.
Brian Burns had more impact on this game than I think any of these guys did, outside of maybe Troy Hill, where he was able to knock that ball loose from Bijan.
I didn't even know this Chris Wormley dude played.
Yeah, dude, get the fuck out, dude.
Well, I mean, I think too they have some sort of equation probably that they're trying to see if they have any plays that they mark as like a loss, right? Like, so they go, oh, you won this play, you affected this play, this is worth this, but maybe there was a negative play that brought, maybe Nick Thurman didn't have the one negative play, or maybe they graded. I agree, though. Here's the deal. What I want to go and say this is, I have been a fan of getting ahead of contractual burdens, particularly beating the inflation, the natural inflation in numbers. What would happen? What do you think? Is it out of the realm of possibility that the Panthers extend Derek Brown before they mess with Brian Burns?
No, not at all.
I mean, I don't know what the actual possibility of it is, but they damn sure should. He's by far the best player on the team. By the way, PFF is like a holy textbook. Either you adhere to it stringently and strictly, and it can do no wrong, or it's a bunch of propaganda meant to fool you.
No, that's you're wrong, Cody. It isn't a one or the other. It is whatever suits your needs in that moment.
Right. That's what I've always said. Everybody picks and chooses when they love and hate PFF. If it backs up your argument, boy, you love PFF. If it doesn't, they're trash and they're shit. My thing is I take it with a grain of salt, just like you would anyone else's evaluation. At the end of the day, it's people giving out a grade based on what they are viewing on film.
Objective.
It doesn't necessarily make it any better or worse than anyone else's. And I put it in the show just because it makes a good conversation point. Like, the number 1 graded player on the Panthers offense was indeed Bryce Young at 78.0. How about this? And this is something that I want to spend at least a moment talking about. Gabe Jackson, right guard, literally had one of the best right guard performances of the year for us, man. It had a 72.2. Dude, I'm all for some good offensive line play. This is a good signing by the Carolina Panthers, and it really does make you wonder about next year. Like, how different is this offensive line going to look? And it
better look fucking completely revamped. Don't give me one game in the rain by Gabe Jackson and all of a sudden say, oh, we got an answer or this or that. Look, the Panthers, those conditions, they benefit offensive linemen. They benefit them more than they benefit defensive linemen. That's the only position group that likes rain and mud and mean running games. I think this is whoever Gabe Jackson is, and he only played this past week or whatever. He did play.
He was elevated from the practice squad.
Is that thankfully we just got a fucking semi-competent performance by this offensive line. And to be honest, it's really hard to judge them when the conditions are one thing and you're really not putting yourself in a position because the other team isn't ahead by a lot or whatever to get after the quarterback on their end. I would just say it's happy to not see this guard have a 40 grade. That's the pleasant thing.
Right,
But if we're not going out, fuck this. I don't even know if anybody other than Moten, Icky, and Bozeman, Corbett, like we
Brady
need
Christensen.
Yeah, but I want like 4 more people too.
Well, it's even sparked the conversation that we can kind of go into right now, and I can put a poll up in the chat. Is what is a bigger need at pick 33? Wide receiver or offensive lineman?
Lineman.
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying, look, you guys can attest to this. I've been saying it forever that in today's NFL, nothing is more important than your interior offensive line. Nothing. Especially if you have a smaller quarterback. The blueprint has been laid out for this with the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees and what they did for years. Even when they went 7-9 3 years in a row, they always had elite protection for Drew Brees to be able to be successful and run that offense. And you're going to have to do that with Bryce. I mean, no matter what kind of quarterback you think he is, if he doesn't have an adequate level of protection, everything is dead on arrival. You cannot depend on him making plays outside of the pocket all the time. It's a recipe for disaster. And by the way, I said that was one of the benefits of Bryce Young being a smaller quarterback, because it thereby forces your team to continuously build upon and invest in that offensive line.
The opposite Cam Newton effect.
So right. Here's my alternative argument for this. Number one, I think that, and we'd have to look at the free agent class of offensive linemen that might be available, but we've been decimated by injury. Brady Christensen, as much shit as Cody gets for him, because he was so high on him, at pretty much any position that he played. That dude was a building block on that offensive line. Taylor Moten has, where we see that there's some issues from time to time. He's been steady.
I've been waiting for his decline, CK, and
it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And when we look at, even Austin Corbett, was he still getting the rust off when he was trying to get back into the swing of things? Sure. But when he played last year, he still played pretty decent. Bradley Bozeman got a contract extension for a reason, right? I don't think we're seeing this offensive line play well, but just because we have shit offensive linemen. I think Ike Ekwonu took a step back because the other people on that offensive line took a step back because he's lost.
And he might not be good.
He might not be good in that position, and maybe they move him over to left guard. Who knows? As Cody's a proponent of. Right. So I don't necessarily say draft an offensive lineman at 33. I think with as deep as a wide receiver class as we have coming up out of the draft, per the people that are draft heads, I don't know anything about this. I just think you got to go after one of these guys as a wide receiver. We've one of the biggest complaints you can see when you watch film is our wide receivers aren't elite. Like there's nothing about our wide receivers that comes across as that dude's always getting open. That dude's always doing this. That dude's always doing that. He's got crisp route running. I mean, heck, even our best receiver in Adam Thielen had a 48% or 50% or a 50 grade in PFF.
He's supposed to be the third receiver on this team, though, CK. Like, is the fact that Thielen is doing well statistically and been so important to this team is actually a disservice to Bryce and Adam Thielen in so many ways. Is I don't know, CK, if you can get somebody that is that what you're talking about in the second round immediately, right? And it's not that you can't find a guy
you can.
In the second,
they do it all the time.
No, that becomes that, but not from week one. I'm sorry, you can make a guy that makes a difference on a team, maybe, but to get to the guy that you're talking about is like route running, those are either in the top 10 or they take time to develop.
I mean, some of the best receivers that are playing in the game today were later than second round.
When you look at that list,
not their rookie year.
Yeah, their rookie year.
Yeah, dude, Puka Nacua. He was a 5th round pick last year, and he's like on track to break rookie receiving records. Tony, what you sound like is a jaded Panther fan, because it's possible, but you're just not used to the Panthers doing it. And no one is, because that finding those rookies that come in and they just instantly become a contributing factor to the team, let's be real, that doesn't happen much for us. So I'm not even blaming you. It's like, why would you even expect that to happen for us?
I think if you look across league history, though, is to count on a guy to do that is foolish, right? Is to hope that a guy that you can get like a let's say a Downs or whatever can come in and be all of a sudden way more than you expected, but to count on him. And if your offensive plan of creating explosive or is creating a better scenario for Bryce Young and putting weapons around him is drafting a wide receiver in the second round, and it doesn't turn out to be great, aren't you going to be like...
The same is true for an offensive lineman, probably more so for an offensive lineman.
But I think you said this is you could go, hey, we got Christensen, we've got Icky, we've got some pieces, and then you draft these guys that are you are hoping to be rotational players to start that might be more than that sooner than later, I think. And the other thing is look at some of these teams that really have thrived in the past is another thing. I think if you move Icky to guard, you go out and you get a top tier, the best left tackle option that's out there. Look at what the Rams did when they added, what was it? Remember Andrew Whitworth or White, whatever that dude's name was, who had 3 or 4 years left in him. The Chargers got Okung. You know, I don't know. Do we have time for Icky to develop into that? I don't know. I think we need to accelerate the offensive line play. Fuck, how do you win?
But my thing is this, Tony, like what you're talking about with receiver, that you shouldn't expect a guy that you draft in the 3rd or 4th round to come in and be a game changer.
You can hope.
Well, you're right, but to me, that's even more true for the offensive line. Because if you have a good offensive lineman coming to the draft, a lot of teams covet those players in the 1st round just because of how important their offensive line is. So I think that the chances of a game-changing lineman even falling to the 2nd round, again, not saying that it doesn't or that it can't happen,
guard,
but it just seems
centers,
like that would
they're there.
It still seems like that's even harder to do, to make sure that if you signed an offensive or drafted an offensive lineman at pick 33 to say that, oh, well, yeah, this guy's going to come in and be an immediate contributor. Well, yeah, you hope so. I mean, people wanted Chandler Zavala to come in and be an immediate contributor. And maybe he might be that one day down the road. He's just not right now. I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
I guess I would feel better about drafting a lineman who was a role player and knowing that role is going to be important more than likely to the team and with injuries and harder to fill if something goes wrong, and then him become more than a role player. I feel like you could go get a Jericho Cotchery or somebody or whatever these regular dudes are, a guy for wide receiver easier than you can get a guy at offensive lineman. And maybe I am jaded, Cody, because name the last time the Panthers drafted a fucking wide receiver that's any fucking good.
I couldn't fucking tell you, brother.
Steve Smith? Is Steve Smith the last drafted?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And he was like the end of the 1st round too.
Well, middle, right?
But then even then, look at like a Curtis Samuel. 20s, but even then, look at like a Curtis Samuel who leaves the Panthers and goes on to have his best performance.
Barely. He has done shit, really. He's had like 1 or 2 good weeks or year. Come on.
Let me tell you what, Tony. Let me tell you what. This offense could use a Curtis fucking Samuel right about now.
Okay.
I mean, come on. If you're going to sit there and say we need Damiere Byrd on this offense.
Damiere Byrd's undrafted, motherfucker.
Curtis Samuel.
Man, I'll take Damiere Byrd over Curtis Samuel any day.
How about this? Curtis Samuel was drafted in the 2nd round. So was Terrace Marshall Jr. And so was
Dave,
Jonathan. Johnson
LaFell?
didn't go. And Brandon. So out of those receivers that we mentioned, I'm taking Curtis Samuel out of all of them.
How about we take some calls?
How about it? Hey, man, if y'all would like to be a part of the show, if y'all would like to leave a message and let us hear your opinion on these Carolina Panthers, you can do so by leaving a message in our Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Tony, let's listen to this C3 Panther fandom.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, C3, this is your girl, Kristen Ledane. I promise my call this time will be more on the chill side. What's all gone wrong with Carolina Panthers? We, the fans, along with Let's Be Blunt, every freaking buddy know what needs to be addressed. And with that, the cleanup mode button needs to be pushed and rebuild the right way full throttle. I've come to terms that the only option is to hope this douchebag Tepper will listen to an insightful friend, a business confidant, whoever it takes to get through to him. That dude needs to step back. His priority needs to be to make sure those on his payroll know what they're doing and leave them be so they can work with what we have, which is not much, but besides our rookie quarterback and wide receiver, commit to actual progress with this roster, coaches, coordinators, trainers, front office, the whole 9 yards. I do hate the green monster that has been unleashed amongst the fan base, but it's going to happen, especially with what we were promised and hyped up, just to be flat out bamboozled. Instead of the juicy porterhouse steak, we got steakums, but there's a silver lining.
Steakums.
Even steakums can be improved with the necessary extra toppings. Also, we need Scott Fitterer, the lapdog, if he doesn't get fired, have his balls drop and do the following. First, lock it up with my hubby, Frankie Luvu, and pay Derek Brown whatever he wants. Next, earn that GM money and somehow, in some way, find and get a diamond in the rough, an overlooked sleeper in this draft, which for sure I'm not looking forward to. Otherwise, my fingers are crossed. We can pick up some decent free agents. We'll try to do better with a trade or two if possible. My friends, it's going to suck for quite some time with our Panthers. And even though my Sicilian ass has a short fuse, I'm going to take a deep breath and let it be, because reality is this is all out of our control. But my piece of advice for the GM and company, if you can, get an Italian. That's my 2 cents. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. Keep pounding C3 family.
I don't know if that's our second or third call, but
I believe it's your second.
I don't know if there's a stronger caller right now in the rotation than that. I mean, she just
got here. This is her second game, and she's already bowling out. How about that? She's that draft pick that we just talked about. That, draft picks don't come in. They don't make a
take 14 games for Kristen.
Yeah. No, and it was her third. Pardon me, Kristen. But no, great call. And listen, when she was talking about someone that can have enough balls to tell David Tepper to step back, that is the reason why a lot of people do want somebody like a Bill Belichick or a Jim Harbaugh. And again, not saying everyone, but somebody that has enough football acumen to be able to confidently sit down and say to David Tepper, look, I appreciate you want a winner, but you're not going to get that winner if we're always listening to what you want, because you're not a football guy. You hired me because I am a football guy, so you need to let me make those decisions. And I agree with that 100%. It would need to be somebody that can tell David Tepper, hey, dude, take a chill pill and take a backseat and let the football people work and do football things. So I do think that's a great point, and it's something that I think has to at least be mentioned when you're talking about these young coaches that are getting their first time to be an NFL head coach, and their first owner gets to be David Tepper. It's like, maybe that's not the best course of action.
I saw this made me think of Kristen's call, made me think of this. I saw this on Reddit today. I don't know. Does this look like Instagram or something? I don't know. I can't ever tell.
No, this is Reddit.
But the copy and paste.
Or copy pasta. It's basically like people just copy and paste something and they put in their own words. Like, so a lot of people are going to use this, but they'll just take out some keywords and they'll put in their own thing.
Okay.
Like,
Well, this made me laugh because it said, at David Teppers, you look like my thumb after a long bath. Old Franklin, the turtle looking boy, long neck and shiny head looking boy. You look like there's an alien inside your body controlling your every move. Men in black looking boy. You look like the thumb man from that one Spy Kids movie. You're incredibly interesting looking human. I wish you lived in a remote village in Lithuania and never learned to speak English or gain access to wealth, so you were never given the opportunity to own the Panthers. I hate the things you choose to be.
That's poetry, bro.
Yeah,
That's poetry,
made
man.
me laugh.
Yeah,
all right, let's. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, and just my last thing about Kristen's call. You mentioned do we pay Derek Brown? And like right now, I do think that as we move into the offseason, it is a good idea to do a little more of an in-depth review of what players are and are not worth re-signing. And, again, we've talked about how there's not a ton of talent that even Panther fans love on this roster, but there's a couple players. But I do think that Derek Brown and Frankie Louvu have proven themselves to the point that I want them to be on the team for the immediate future.
I agree.
And Tony, like you were once upon a time saying about Brian Burns, hey, pay him now so that way you're getting ahead of this market that keeps on going up and up in terms of how much they're paying people, especially considering his position of defensive tackle. I would be looking to pay Derek Brown a lot earlier than necessarily need be.
What's stopping it from happening right now? I mean, in some ways, I think that and the other thing too is that I think I would feel a little bit better about a slight overpay for defensive tackle than I would be for defensive end. And here's the reason being, because that defensive end position is already overinflated as it is, right? Like you get the corner, the wide receiver, they just naturally are higher paid positions. So if you overpay Derek Brown by $2 or $3 million rather than overpaying Brian Burns by $2 or $3 million, well, yeah, it's still like $8 million cheaper too.
Yeah, right, 100%. Yeah, again, especially that position too, man. Like that, though, there are a few positions that are premier in the NFL, right? I think that obviously quarterback, corner, wide receiver. But then when you move to the defense and you see these game changers in the middle and how they disrupt things, I mean, like an Aaron Donald, obviously, a Chris Jones, a Quinnen Williams, a Dexter Lawrence.
And look what Chris Jones had to do to get money.
Yeah, man. Right. But now you're in that – Derek Brown is now in that echelon where you really start to wonder what kind of player he can be if you add more pieces on this defensive line. And I've been a proponent of getting another interior defensive lineman to go next to him.
Yeah.
Get him a rotation guy like the Panthers had with K1 Short and Star Latulele. That 1-2 punch in the middle.
All right, let's take another call. Hey.
What's up, C3? It's Kyle from Spartanburg.
Well,
I just want to say this real quick. This might be a little controversial and a little in the past, but I think Matt Rule was a really good drafter. So if you go back and all the news,
definitely controversial.
Everyone said that he was in charge of the drafts. He was in charge. He chose everything. He was like the guy that ran the entire show. But really, let's look back at his pick. He chose Derek Brown over Isaiah Simmons, which everyone wanted Simmons because that was right after Kuechly retired and all that kind of stuff.
Even me.
Now Simmons, I don't even know where he's at. Is he in the NFL still? And then, he chose guys like Christensen, who you guys said is possibly the best offensive lineman on the team, to the Hubbard, who could be the best offensive player on the team, and then guys like Jeremy Chin, who was almost Defensive Rookie of the Year and YGM. I mean, he wasn't the greatest coach and that kind of stuff, but I think he could have been a really good scout, or I think even really Matt Rule could have been a pretty good GM. But of course, he did a lot of bad things here as the head coach, and we ran him out, and now he's doing okay over there. But I'm not a Rule supporter. I was just, kind of looking back on his draft picks and everything, and I was like, dang, there's pretty much our entire team philosophy is built on these guys who we all pretty much wrote off at one time, but they seem to be coming back and making an impact on the team. But all right, y'all. I hope y'all got a good show. See you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Kyle. CK, you know how we've been talking a little bit about it's been considered what other alternate universes exist for the Panthers, and what would you have changed? What move would you have made? Would you not have made? Especially considering recent years. And he's talking about Matt Rule as a GM. The biggest mistake, if you want to talk about Matt Rule as GM and be fair, his biggest mistake was the quarterback position.
Right.
And especially in that first year in 2020, you had a majority of your coaching staff that wanted to trade up to get Justin Herbert. But he said, no, we're going to roll with Teddy Bridgewater. CK, let's go back in time a little bit. Imagine that we did take a Justin Herbert in that draft. We would have Justin Herbert. We would have DJ Moore. We would have Christian McCaffrey. We would have Robbie Anderson at the time, who, remember, that year went for over 1,000 yards. You would have
you keep Curtis Samuel, right?
Yeah, 100%. Potentially you keep Curtis Samuel. And guess who would have been his offensive coordinator? That's right, Joe Brady. Joe Brady, who is having a career resurgence with the Buffalo Bills as their offensive coordinator. And I have been telling everyone for as long as they would listen to me that when Joe Brady was fired, it was a scapegoat fire, and that it was too early, and that everybody was mad at Joe Brady for no reason at all, because they did not have the requisite talent on this offense for it to look good. Now you see what that guy is able to do with some pieces around him. Dude, Matt Rule really fucked up everything in that first year on the job, man. Truly.
Go ahead, CK.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think that is, we said it his entire tenure. He was buying high and selling low, and we even take out the equation of Teddy Bridgewater. The error started the moment he cut Cam Newton. Right. And I'm not saying Cam Newton was going to be what we always remember him being, because there was a clear decline going on with his health, or something along those lines was happening. But you're not going to hesitate in going and picking up a guy like Justin Herbert if you have Cam Newton there. Whereas if you just signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 3-year deal that's starter money, you're going to start him. If you're not going to draft another QB when you just got Teddy Bridgewater, because you're going to ruin Teddy Bridgewater's relationship with your front office if you did that. Listen, I agree. I think quarterback is the number one issue. I really don't find that his drafts to be incredibly impressive, even if you look at the few people that he did add. And it took other coaching staffs to actually get the best out of some of these guys. Chuba Hubbard is probably the highlight of his entire drafting career. In my opinion,
that's only this year now,
and that's really this year. I mean, maybe the latter part of last year, but yeah, it's not I don't really think that it's worthy of a conversation of him being a good GM, in my opinion.
I think we have long seen that the Panthers haven't had a good draft since 2013, dude. Is that you're searching to prove that drafts are good after that.
Right.
And the irony or the crazy part, this just shows you how things can flip so wildly. After the 2015 season, they regraded the Panthers draft, and it was like an A+, because you had 3, I think, contributing rookies on that team. You had Coney Ely that almost won the fucking Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
You had Ben Wickery, who played great his rookie year. You had Trey Boston, who played well his rookie year. I think Shaq Thompson, Devin Funchess was in that draft, and he played well his rookie year. And you go
Funches
back-
was 2015, right?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
15.
talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
15. You had Sticky Wiki. You had Funches. They went
Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson, Funches, Coney Ely, maybe. I think Coney Ely was a rookie that year. Trey Boston, Ben Wickery.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you had guys, you put them on team, and this is unfair. I think Ben Wickery got a terrible rap in Carolina. I think Trey Boston is kind of a player that's like this, is that some of these players in the later rounds can be good players on good teams, but they have trouble being good players on bad teams.
So are you ready for this list? 2015 was Shaq Thompson, Devin Funches. How about this name? We haven't heard this in a while. Daryl Williams.
Oh, yeah.
About that dude.
He was pretty good too.
Hey, hold on. How about we're not done? David Mayo.
Yep. Another good player.
And
when was Cody Ely drafted?
And who's the guy, Tony, that you think slept with Ron Rivera's daughter?
Oh, Cameron Arce Payne.
Yeah.
Nice. See, all of these players. So I guess Cody Ely was a second-year player then? No way, really? When was he drafted? I mean, it had to have been 2014 then.
Yeah, I want to say it was 14. Yeah, he was the second round pick in 2014. Let me see. Because I remember
that has to be, because I know he was a second round pick, and then Funches was a second round pick.
But there was talk about him being potentially a first round pick. He came out of Mizzou. I remember that. Coney Ely was our it was the second round pick. And our I gotta go back. 2014 was so Kelvin Benjamin in the first round. Coney, hey, this is kind of check this one out. Kelvin Benjamin, Coney Ely, Trey Turner, Trey Boston.
There we go.
Ben Wickery.
Okay, I was wrong. They were second-year player. Okay,
and then Tyler Gaffney, and no one knows who that is.
I remember. Tyler Gaffney fucking is a home run hitter, bro. Remember, or maybe it was just in the preseason that he does this. That he had like 4 touchdowns. Remember, he did it for us, and then he went to New England and did it.
Mm-hmm.
He was a cool player. How about this? Is those 2 drafts alone have some names that we go, man, they were cool players for moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had their moment, and they contributed to teams that were some of the best Panthers teams.
I don't think you can say that in a draft since 2018.
Not at all. Not at all.
I think maybe, if anything, you get a player. And you can't. That's just not. That's why this team is so bad. I promise you this. It's because everything has gone wrong. We haven't drafted well. We haven't done free agency well. We haven't gotten coaching right. But you cannot build a team entirely through free agency. And you cannot build a team only through the draft. They have to dance in concert. And the Panthers have just shit the bed. They have shown up for their dance date to pick up their draft date, and the free agents puked on the draft dress, and they never even made it to the dance. Let's go take another call.
C3 Panthers, how you
stretch
doing?
of an
It's
analogy.
your favorite guinea,
Jay.
the saucy one. So that game, man.
What up, brother?
You got to win. That's nice and all having a win, but shit, they still play like a bunch of jerk offs. Really. Still no touchdowns. I'm starting to forget what the fuck touchdowns look like. And, I guess everybody was happy we won. Yeah, fucking right. Oh, nice as a true. Not yet. Pump the brakes. Not yet. He led the game-winning drive. That's cool. Still no touchdowns. Nothing. I get it. Dead weather. Big fucking deal. These guys have been playing football the whole life in the fucking snow and shit. All right? Fucking mailmen. They're fucking football players.
No sympathy.
So, it's great. A win. We won't be the first ever 1-16 team, but we could be the first ever 2-15 team, right? I think. Man, maybe not. I don't fucking know. But yeah, we need touchdowns, boys. We need something. something. The game was fucking putting me to sleep every week with this fucking just stale offense that I was hoping we'd get rid of. Fucking, Sammy Yambags gave me fucking anxiety. This fucking crew, fucking mud on with these fucking guys. But you celebrate the win. That's great. Still got to play better. One more thing. The fucking Saints need to be investigated for another fucking hit gate. Almost took out my fucking boy, fucking Tommy Cutlets over there. Fucking sliding and shit, getting fucking headshot. What the fuck's that all about, bro? Fucking putting a hit on this fucking guy. Yeah, these fuck the Saints, fucking dirty ass motherfuckers.
Well,
Anyway,
there
boys,
is a lot of
you have a good
mafia
night.
in the
Go eat some fucking ziti,
in the Big
right?
Easy.
Keep pound and
There's a lot of gangsters in the Big Easy, so it might have been a little gang on gang violence. He mentioned something about the stale offense, and we highlighted a comment earlier. It may have been a super chat talking about getting back to the keep pounding the ground and pound. Frank Wright took a lot of heat by saying, "Look, we know we want to be we can be a power run team when we need to be, but that's not who we want to be." I don't think the Panthers should commit to that ideology and go back on just what they are trying to move into a new generation of football just because it didn't work out right away. I thought the whole point of having Bryce Young was to have a more distributive offense, to have a more spread out offense. And I think instead of us just being scared to keep going, leaning into that just because the only semblance of success we've had in the last 2 years is when we've run the ball 58 fucking times or whatever. I think you have to have a belief in the vision. And just because your opening day at the restaurant, you don't just change the menu right away. I think you need to draft for a team that can be versatile. And I think a team that is like a power run team that's going to win by this, or like a Ron Rivera, John Fox team, I think that is antiquated. I also think that there's weaknesses of just trying to create an offensive greatest show on turf. I think you need to be able to win in the ways that are needed. And in this game, how many times are you look, can you really realistically believe that you just have to keep teams to under 20? Right? I think you need to be able to spread it out and move. So I think you need an offensive line that's capable of both. I think you need a playbook that can run, that can win in December on the ground, but can fucking win in the Super Bowl in the air.
Yeah, and look, here's what I'm doing, man. Again, I don't know necessarily what we intend on doing with Miles Sanders and his contract. He had a good game 2 weeks ago, but like everybody at this point in time is pretty much in agreement that Chuba Hubbard is the best running back on our team right now. But again, I'm a firm believer that in today's NFL, if you want to run the ball effectively, you need to have that running back by committee type of thing going on. So I like Chuba Hubbard. I want to see him stay here moving forward. He doesn't have too much longer left on his contract. So, get him a workhorse running mate, somebody else that can take him out of the game, and you can put them in and have
what type of back bears with him?
Well, again, so you would think like a Miles. Okay, this is kind of like an overused term, but like that scat back type of role, I think is something that would be good for this team. I think Chuba's more of a downhill runner between the A and B gaps.
He's certainly not a pass catching running back.
No, he's not. And by the way, I don't want him to be, and I don't think that you need him to be.
Don't you think that's part of the resurgence for Chuba Hubbard is that we haven't asked him to be?
Yeah, but he also hasn't been as bad catching the ball as he was.
I can't remember, but one or two times he's been thrown to this year.
Right, but even when he did, you didn't remember them as drops. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thankfully, but I can remember him being thrown to 10 times in the first 3 weeks of his rookie year and dropping every single one of them.
But this is also what I've been saying. That's what his skill set is. Like to even be throwing him the ball is the wrong type of thing anyway. Use him in that downhill rushing attack. Be aggressive. Let him barrel through linebackers on the second level. and I think that's where he's at his best. And draft him another compliment. Again, you can find running backs in the 6th round through undrafted that can come in and make noise. By the way, shout out to your boy, Tony Keaton Mitchell, who suffered a pretty terrible injury.
Oh, God, did you see it?
Yeah, man, that was...
CK, did you see it?
I didn't. I won't. As I'm getting older, it's like the last thing I'm interested in doing is watching those.
Probably go look at it because this is terrible, Cody.
Would you say that it was worse than Nick Chubb's?
No.
Nick Chubb worse?
No, I don't think so. I hope not. Actually, is that and I should not, I don't know why this makes me giggle. Is I hadn't seen the injury, right? I saw somebody say if they took the pictures of this down or something like this, or they're not posting the video anymore, you can still find it. And they said, and so one of the tweets said, because I just Googled or I just searched Keaton Mitchell because I saw somebody say in the Panther creator chat that he got injured. And the tweet said, they're taking the pictures are not up anymore of Keaton Mitchell's injury. So here is a picture of a horse's hind leg. And you're like, wait, what does that mean? And then you go and watch the injury and you're like, holy shit, it is shaped like that horse's hind leg. The wrong way, dude. The wrong way. Oh, God. Oh, man. He was having a cool bust out year for a deep draft pick. I told you guys to keep an eye on him. That shit, what happened? He got pulled back a little and the leg just infolded.
Yeah. Dude, he had some great games earlier this year. Where I think he was like the first Baltimore Raven to have like 2 games that with one run of over 30 yards. And
dude, he had like one catch, 1 run, 2 touchdowns, 60 yards. But like he had at one point something like 34 yards after first contact or something like that. He's getting hit too and busting out.
Yeah, I mean, but the only reason I bring it up is that you can find really good running backs late in the draft, that will come in. So get Chuba a running mate. Get back to playing downhill football. Again, I'm going to maintain that Ikem Ekwonu is best served as a left guard, and everyone will continue to fight me, and that's fine. I might lose that battle.
I think I'm in on it, dude. I think until I see a reason to believe that he can handle speed, he gets worked, dude. And he gets so worked, and I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, this is technique." Like, yeah, it's technique, but he's also just getting fucking worked and man, beat outside. Then he's getting beat outside so bad he's getting beat inside. He getting beat. It's just,
no, 100%. And Tony, what I've said is that when he's on the edge, he's worried so much about being beaten to the outside or the inside that it's causing him to even be inadequate at his best trait.
Yeah, then he gets muscled the fuck over.
Right. Then he's getting bull rushed.
Right.
And I think that if you put him at guard, you're erasing that lateral movement. Or horizontal, rather.
I just want to know this is for all the look. I love the people who are defenders, right? Like, oh man, we're Icky advocates, we're Bryce Young advocates, we're this and that. But my question is, how long do you hold on to the belief of optimism? Is it 3 games into next year? Do you go in? Is it? Do you go into next season saying it's Icky at left tackle or bust at that position? Or do you say we want to give him another shot at left tackle, but we also have to make some sort of, contingency plan in case he's not? Or do you take the bold stroke of the third is saying we're just going to move him inside? I think it would be malpractice to just expect him to be what people say he's going to be at this point. And I'm not saying he can't be. Right. I'm not saying you even just move him to guard right away, but I think it's just like rinse and repeat. I don't know if you should do that. And then what if you get in 3 weeks to next year and he hasn't progressed at all? What the fuck do you do then? You just say, oh, we're going to get Bryce killed.
Yeah, I think the biggest conundrum going forward for the team is, okay, let's say you do want to put Icky at left guard. In my mind, the only option is to put Brady Christensen at left tackle.
That you can't just do that, though.
But, I mean, they say
you can't make a whole plan all season on that. That would also be wildly irresponsible.
But I don't know about irresponsible. What I'm saying though is that
it's too hopeful. It's like, we're going to go in and draft a wide receiver, and all of a sudden, fucking offense is going to be great.
It's the only thing that they have available to them. What's more likely, that Brady Christensen can hold down left tackle, even if it's as a stopgap for a certain period of time at that position? Or are you going to find a franchise left tackle either in free agency? By the way, teams don't let franchise left tackles go in free agency. Or you're hoping that a franchise left tackle is going to be there at pick 34 in the draft. You're also thinking that
I don't think that. I don't think we're going to go get a starter in the draft.
Okay, so
I just think you have
the most likely option.
I think you have to say that you're willing to try Brady Christensen out authentically at the position, but I think you got to go and get a guy in free agency who has some experience, whether it's marginally good. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be.
Right.
You just have to have somebody that you could, if Icky doesn't step forward at all, that you have a guy that's at least a lateral to semi up adjustment. I mean, you just can't. And I know that, look, it's like, I mean, obviously Cam Irving is not a good example because of how poorly he played. But kind of like a Cam Irving, but maybe one less sucky, just a little less sucky than him. And not that you're going in saying this guy's going to start, but I think you need to have a contingency plan. And I don't think the contingency plan could be, Brady Christensen, who we've never seen play this position at the NFL level, coming off a major injury.
I mean, but again, if you want to get someone in free agency, who are you getting?
But ultimately, some sort of swing tackle that has had some experience playing left tackle that might not be a starter worthy, but in case your starter isn't any fucking good.
Okay, so right now, the free agents going into this next year are Tyron Smith.
Who's he playing?
Dallas, and he's been one of the best, one of the better left tackles in the NFL.
Okay, yeah,
but he's older and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. You have Dwayne Brown at left tackle for the New York Jets, who is also an undrafted free agent.
Who hasn't been any good.
Right. Cornelius Lucas for Washington.
Ooh, dude, do you know how old that guy is? That guy was drafted in like 2013, I think.
Well, then again, that doesn't seem
but actually, no, I'm not saying that you plan on them being the starter. I'm saying you have to have a plan for in case Icky can't be.
Yep. And then you have Donovan Smith, left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs.
There's going to be some other guys that get cut. Those are just the perspective.
I mean, right. I'm just
free agent.
To me, like this idea that you can't give Christensen a legit shot. Yeah, it should have happened sooner. It should have happened a long time ago. But I still think that right now, it would be malpractice to not see what he has at that position.
That's not what I'm saying.
Right, I hear you. I'm just saying, considering that he was one of the highest graded left tackles to ever come out of college, again, according to PFF, like to me, that's talent at the position that you could potentially be wasting.
All right, let's take a look. This might be the cool call. I think this is Anthony from Charlotte.
Oh.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte this time, back from Cincinnati. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday, man. Glad we won last Sunday. An old-fashioned NFL football Panthers kind of game to watch. Kind of remind me a lot of the 2011 Jacksonville Monsoon game, where the stands were just flooded and there wasn't that many people there. And Cam hit Greg Olsen for the game-winning touchdown to give us the lead. Anyways, though, on to what I wanted to discuss and what I wanted to call in about tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We got a game against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are definitely a better offensive unit than the Falcons. It's going to be an interesting test. The defense, though, I don't think it's that good. Or maybe Baker Mayfield's just that guy, man, because he diced the fuck out of him last week. In all seriousness, we'll see what happens with that game. At this point, just go into every game with an open mindset. I think that's the best way to approach these last 3 games. Trying to see some, clean games from Bryce Young, pretty much. High completion percentage, no mistakes, use of his legs, good throws. But what I really wanted to call in about was that a source reached out to me that's very reputable, has about 130,000 Twitter followers, and I was the one that reached out to this guy during the time where the Panthers were talking about looking for a number 1 wide receiver to trade for Bryce Young. We didn't end up doing that, which I still don't understand why, but at the same time, I can also understand why we couldn't do it because blah, 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 it's too much capital. But this source reached out to me and said that Mike Borgonzi is a prime candidate for the Panthers general manager job when open. And I asked this guy, so is there an indication that you're feeling like Fitter's going to be fired? He said that's the expectation around the league from who I've talked to. Obviously, it hasn't been done yet, but that's the expectation. So I'm really happy about that news. I shared it in the spaces last night. It should lead into an interesting dynamic for a lot of hope for Panthers fans. We've been talking about how the last, culprit in this whole clusterfuck of a last 3-year period has been Scott Fitter, and with him out and Mike Borgonzi in, a guy that's drafted Tyreek Hill, a guy that's been in the scouting department for 10 plus years, that's the guy we need. Yeah, I know our free agency hasn't been good, but the drafts rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6, and even 7, those are the rounds that we need to start hitting players on, and I would love to bring him in. I hope Tepper can get it done. Give me your thoughts on that. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding, man.
Hey, keep motherfucking pounding. Look at C3 breaking scoops wherever there are scoops to be had, man. So, again, I have Anthony's permission to share all this too. It was from ML Football, who originally put out that Mike Borgonzi is in consideration for the Panthers GM. Mike Borgonzi and Adam Peters. So this prompted our boy Anthony to send my man a DM and say, do you have any info on if Fitterer will be fired? He replied to Ant saying, people around the league expect it. Of course, nothing's done yet, but I'd very much so expect it. And a lot of you might be wondering, well, okay, who is Mike Borgonzi? Why should anyone care? He has been an integral member in building that Kansas City Chiefs team. Borgonzi has been with the Chiefs for 14 years, the last 2 in his current position as GM Brett Veach's top personal lieutenant. He also served as the Chiefs Director of Football Operations from 2018 to 2020. He's been the Director of Player Personnel, Director of Pro Scouting, a Pro Personnel Scout, and a Manager of Football Operations. So this guy has a scouting background. He knows how to look at talent and evaluate talent. Both Veach and Reed have received the lion's share of the credit for the Chiefs' success. Of the 14 GM openings during the last 3 years, Borgonzi interviewed for just one of them, the Carolina Panthers, in 2021, and that job went to Scott Fitterer. So we already have some history with them. David Tepper has interviewed him before. Now you have people who are hearing.
The same for Adam Peters, too.
Yeah, we've interviewed.
I think we interviewed him, and I think that was the candidate that we were hoping for.
Yeah, and by the way,
some of us were. I think I was, because I'm infatuated with how San Francisco is.
Yeah,
somehow navigated the draft, free agency, missed on big players, let big players go, and continue to just have the best fucking roster in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, look how many times the Chiefs have been able to reload and have had great football teams that have won.
There's been some difficulty.
Through Super Bowls.
True.
Yeah,
there's been
has,
some difficulties putting some offensive talent out there besides Tyreek Kelce.
Well, in
Kelce.
in very recent years, sure. But I think overall, I want someone that comes from that scout background. I mean, this man has literally worked his way up. He's been a player person, in charge of player personnel. He's been a scout. He's been a scouting director. This guy has done everything. And whenever people have asked me who I want for the job, I've always been a proponent of him. I think him and Adam Peters are the best names for that job. And I think Mike Borgonzi, especially him having interviewed with the Panthers before, I think that puts him pretty high up on a very short list. Obviously, all this is depending on who the head coach is. If the head coach has enough clout to want to bring in their own general manager, that's going to change things. But right now, Adam Borgonzi and Adam Peters, if we do fire Fitterer, those are the two names that Panther fans are going to want the most.
I do like the idea of this guy moving up the ranks in the Chiefs organization instead of doing a little player development here, a little scouting at this other organization, then getting in this other one and being this. Is that I think that brings him a lens of continuity over a timeline that has seen ups and downs, but also a lot of ups. I think it also shows that he stood out in those circumstances to continue to climb the ladder, even among a place where you have such giant personalities like Andy Reid and stuff like that that are so successful and this and that. I think that's a benefit instead of, was it more Dan Morgan who started with Seattle, then went to the Bills, then came here?
I don't know where he was before the Bills.
I know he was with Seattle for a while. And I'm not trying to knock on Dan Morgan. Actually, I just don't have any reason to believe right now. I don't think I see anything right now that says that he should be in top consideration right now.
Also, Tony, that's so hard to know who's calling the shots. Like, to look at that, who we've drafted and say, well, we didn't have a lot of great guys, and Dan Morgan was a part of that team, so therefore you have to put some of that responsibility on him.
No, I think it's just his press conference I didn't like, dude, and maybe it's just a one-off, but I didn't like what he said.
You don't know who's pounding the table for who. So again,
I don't think it's about just a player draft. I think it's about learning the processes, learning this. I don't think just because a team had a good draft, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this Borgazzi guy is a fucking dude. I think it's about being in an organization that has consistent winning processes in player development, in drafting, in that. I don't want to just go, oh, well, look, the Saints hit 6 picks in one draft. Like, go look at their fucking scout. I like the fact that he has had a 10-year timeline with the Chiefs as they have,
right?
As they've evolved. They went from an Alex Smith playoff team to a new quarterback to now. Look, think about this. Is Kev's in the chat saying, look, they tried to replace Tyreek with Sky Moore. They're doing what they did to Cam. No, is they also paid Patrick Mahomes a fucking boatload of money, right? They got Kelce. I think if anything, I thought that who I say?
Right now it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
They paid them boatloads of money. You can only pay. I think if anything that the Chiefs, what they did is say, man, it's like, if we're gonna we have to invest a little bit in the defense. And now they got a top 5 defense. Mahomes is carrying them in their offense. I think it's important for teams to be malleable and evolve. And I think that might be a positive characteristic about him.
I want to ask everyone a question. To you, Tony, to you, CK, and to all 115 people watching. In your mind, what is the number one trait that a good GM has to have? Like, what is something that a good GM must do? And to me, the answer is easy. But I want to hear some of y'all first. Like, what is the one thing that you want a GM to have in order to be successful?
Tony, if you want to go, I have my answer, but
go because I have no idea what my answer is.
You have to be able to pull together at least half of your draft has to be contributors.
Okay, so just drafting well.
Drafting well. I think that's so important when you're talking about building a good team. Most teams aren't built through free agency. You do see it happen occasionally, but they don't sustain success over a long period of time. The teams that are the most successful over a long period of time, i.e. the Chiefs, i.e. the Eagles at this point in time, who have gotten some benefit of trading and whatnot, but the Bills, outside of trading for what's his name? Stephon Diggs. Outside of that, they've been pretty heavily well drafted. You have the Patriots. Their dynasty wasn't one that was built on free agency. So I really do believe it boils down to the draft. It's in my opinion.
All right. Tony, you want to answer? And then I want to highlight.
First, I think it's like a stupid question, by the way.
It's a great question.
It's a stupid question because it's like one thing.
Then give me the smart. Yeah, I'm saying, like, I mean, obviously they have to have a bunch of things, but I'm saying, what is the most important of all those things? Like, what do you want him to be first and foremost above all?
How do you articulate this as a trait? I think it's important for GMs to be about 5 minutes ahead of everybody else on whether or not you should be buying or selling.
Right,
and that's on players, that's on trades, that's foresight. On moves. That is, foresight too. Yeah, I mean, it's not just like long term. I think this is sometimes, I think the times that we've seen our teams get better or worse through, and I think free agency, both free agency and the draft, is when you pull the trigger on something that you thought you needed to do now, and you were either 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, or too early on that, or you don't pull the trigger at all. And so let me give you two examples of what I mean by this, of good and bad when it comes to David Gettleman. Dave Gettleman waited too long. He waited 2 years or 2 minutes too long, or 5 minutes, whatever the timeline you want to say, to get the left tackle and to get off any offensive weapons around Cam. And so then once he tried to start doing it, it was too little too late.
Yeah.
But in his
being
moment,
on time.
Yeah, being on time. That's it. Because here are two. Here's the other example I have of how he was on time, and that is we had an injury, and we went and traded for Jared Allen, and we got Peanut Tillman. Yeah. All of a sudden, it felt like this is, oh shit, there's something going on here, and it's time. And we're not gonna just wait for next year to come around.
Right.
But I would say
so knowing when to pull the trigger on certain positions.
Being on time. I like that. Being on time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean,
and that's a draft thing too. It's like timing when you go offense, when you go defense, when you go this, when you go after this. And when Dave Gettleman's timing got disrupted, and it really got disrupted with the Josh Norman shit. It got disrupted when he got in a fight with Josh Norman over that fucking franchise tag or whatever. He pulled the tag and then he goes, I'm going to draft 3 fucking corners and do everything. And then he was just off. He was off beats for the rest.
He shopped hungry. And one of his biggest sayings was, you never shop hungry. And that's what
be on beat. Get on in step if you're in the marching band.
Some great comments from our C3 faithful. I think Mr. Stratz is saying what you're saying, foresight. There's just the ability to know when you're going to need certain players in certain positions. It says draft picks. Jay Thomas also says has to hit the draft picks. Daniel says have contingencies.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I think that's been Fitterer's problem. That was Fitterer's problem this year.
Not having backup plans for sure.
Yeah.
Late round draft picks is also another one. The ability to allow others to do their damn job.
Oh, I thought that's an owner trait.
Well, I mean, yeah, but also again. All right, so look, I'll quit burying the lead. Well, first let me do some more. Diesel Skills says the ability to hit the like button. Oh shit.
Nice.
Roosevelt Mongo says being balanced. And our boy Joey the Blind Panther says you need a GM who has the wheels to make a deal in the eye for talent. And Tony, I'm a firm believer that 90% of the job of being a GM is what our guy Stephen Bailey has to say. Evaluating talent. And like our man Alex Max Pro says, evaluating talent. That's 90% of your job. That's 90% of your job. If you think about free agency, if you think about the draft, you're evaluating talent. Even the things that you don't often wonder about, hiring a staff for your strength and conditioning staff, hiring your medical staff, you're evaluating the talent of all these different people in all these different areas to be able to do their job and put those right people in positions of power to be able to build upon the team. If you cannot adequately evaluate talent, then you're dead on the arrival. I was saying this to CK earlier. If they evaluated Justin Herbert as a can't-miss quarterback talent in 2020, if that's what your staff has evaluated him to be, move heaven and earth to go and get the players that you and your staff are sold on, but you have to be right in your evaluation of them. Remember when we drafted Greg Little in the second round, left tackle out of Ole Miss, and just didn't do shit for the Carolina Panthers? Well, again, not tooting my own horn here, but you were always able to see on his film that pass protection, he just struggled in a lot of those scenarios. And it makes you wonder, like, is there too many times when the general manager has too much faith in the ability of the staff to be able to develop those players? Because it seems like that's often kind of off compared to what people would be expecting. That's also something that you're building upon with your coaching staff. Is this coaching staff going to be able to elevate the talent on the football team? So you're evaluating your coaching staff with that same manner as well. Talent evaluation is 90% of the general manager job.
All right. I'd like to remind everybody that the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy football sports website, app, and the way for you to use your football knowledge to make real money. The way it works is you select multiple players from multiple teams, a minimum of 2 players from 2 different teams. They're given and assigned a projection. You select those, they become your entries, and you pick more or less. The more of those you get right, the more money you win. But what's fun about PrizePicks is they're always keeping things fresh, innovative, and different, from Flex Friday picks, where you get maybe, for instance, they'll give you $20 to play where you can't lose. Like if you lose on a flex pick, then they just refund you your money, right? They'll give you free squares. In fact, I guess I missed my Christmas square, which is messed up. Why do you have to pick the Christmas square so early? I'm upset about that. I didn't pick the Christmas square, which is like a free square. They'll give you like basically a free entry. But I guess you got to be on time with some of those things, like that timing we were talking about for those GMs. But I haven't opened PrizePicks up since this weekend, and guess what? Something new and fresh is out there. I don't know necessarily the timing of this announcement, but it's there. Demons and Goblins, because Christmas is the season for demons and goblins. This would have been better off Why didn't they do this at Halloween, PrizePicks? Oh, don't forget, if you go to PrizePicks, use the promo code C3. They'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $100 for first-time depositors if you use the promo code C3. We need you to use that promo code C3 because we need them to come back as a sponsor. In fact, I tried to ask them, sent them a message. I said, hey, how about extending through the playoffs? He said, we got to check the campaign numbers and stuff like that. So, guys, look, I'm telling you, our sponsors, because the way the internet works, and it sucks, I know, we're begging you. But I just want you to do this. Don't go do it for us. But if you are going to go play daily fantasy sports, pick PrizePicks and use the promo code C3 because then you get your deposit bonus. We get recognition and we get to keep doing cool segments and shit like this up here. Look, Demons and Goblins, the new entry component here. Entries containing a demon or a goblin may pay out differently than standard entries. You can only pick more on these projections. Demons are a little weird. They're harder to win, but the entry qualifies for higher payouts up to 100 times your money. So we're going to do a demon pick tonight. And we're going to see if we can we'll try to figure out how it works. I don't know but boy, these are hard to hit. I'm telling you, these numbers are, when they say demon, they're devilish. When Stephon Diggs got he ain't had a 100-yard game. Look at that. You got to pick Stephon Diggs going over 100. What they know? What do they know that we don't? What they know?
Hey, how about this, man? Them Bills are heating up with Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, bro. I'm telling you, man, that.
Well, then you know what we're doing? We're going goblin, demon.
So
Dave
okay,
Davis.
the demon is like
harder. It's the hardest to hit. It's an inflated fantasy point figure. Goblin. All right, so look at this. To give you an example, Cooper Kupp's demon number is 99.5 receiving yards. His goblin number is 49.5. His standard number is 68.5. So you can pick, basically, you're like, the goblin's going to pay out less. If you hit, see, like, look, it's safer to go goblin than it is to go regular.
Well, Kev makes a point about Stephon Diggs. They're playing the Chargers. So, hey, that might be the time to do it, man.
Why? When are they just...
the Raiders just put up 60 points on them. The Raiders, dude. And now the Bills are resurgent, man. They've beaten, they've beaten the Eagles. They've beaten...
I feel better about, man, that's a lot. This dude hasn't had 100. What are they just going to just beat up on these guys to make everybody feel better? How about this then? Maybe Josh Allen more than 274. What's safest?
I don't know. He had less than he was like at 100 what did he even crest 100 yards last game?
Dude, how about this?
He had 94 yards last game?
Dude, I'd hit both of them bitches. I'd fucking, hey man, I'm feeling, bro, I would. But hey, this is
we're doing it today. Man. We're gonna get Justin Fields versus Arizona.
What is it? Rushing or passing? Passing?
Yeah, 197.5. Should we just go Bryce
Arizona?
under?
Oh, dude, Arizona. That's easy. I mean, he almost hit that versus Cleveland, and Cleveland has one of the better teams right now. And you know what I've been doing?
Oh, look, dude, we're going Adam Thielen here.
No,
47.5.
No.
Why?
Dude, I'm telling you. Here, look at his numbers. Look at the last time he's hit projections. Dude, Adam
2 weeks
Thielen,
ago.
Oh, okay, dude, Adam Thielen.
47.5.
You, he has not been the lock that he once was in this offense.
Bryce Young heating up. All right, we're going Look, right now, look at that, $20.
I would do a second entry for the Panthers. That's what I've been doing. It's up to you if you want. I've been doing
this.
I've been doing
just trying
around the
to make.
NFL and
Look,
then
let's see this. One. That's okay. So flex still. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do $10. Fuck that. We're going to 2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on PrizePicks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit PrizePicks.com for restrictions and details.
Nice buns, soft, fluffy, and ultra low net carbs. Discover Hero Bread, the delicious ultra low net carb bread with incredible taste and texture. Hero Bread has 0 grams of sugar and is under 100 calories per serving. Plus, high in fiber with 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. Order from hero.co now and get 10% off your first purchase with promo code AH10. That's 10% off with code AH10. HERO.co.
$20. Yeah.
Kev said Cup has been getting touchdowns too.
All right, we'll do one more entry here. See, this is ridiculous, though. Like, who is going to go ahead and think this guy? How tough is that?
Wait, who is it? Let me see.
This is
Tyron
touchdowns. Oh, look, Cooper Kupp.
Oh, dude, that's a no-brainer.
Touchdown.
Yeah, I would do that. Wait, who are they playing?
Need to find one other.
They're playing New Orleans.
No, they're playing New Orleans.
I kind of like so these are all demons.
These are every one of the touchdown numbers is demons.
Dude, even some of them seem almost too easy, bro. Scroll down to the bottom.
Don't listen to this guy.
Dude, Stephon Diggs. All it needs is
let's do this. Let's see what these do. Let's see what the demon does. The demon does, instead of it paying out what? 3 times your money now, it pays out 4.25. Do $10 here. Now, all right, guys, don't forget if you're going to go to PrizePicks and try to, I wonder I must be a 5 picker. I wonder how you get 100 times your money. We can do a $5 pick. Let's see if we could do that. We'll do one $5 pick. I bet you it is what we're going to do. We'll do, did I not place that? Okay, I want to see. Let's see, reuse players. So let's see. This is Josh Allen, 50 rushing yards. Dumb. No way. Christian McCaffrey, they don't fuck with him. Passing. Rushing.
So does it give you an option to look at all the demons?
Oh, no, that's a great question. It does not just say, hey, let's look at all demon.
Yeah, that's what I would like.
It looks like they're mostly in, but you can only go over on the demon. I like Alvin. So let's see if we could do this. Let's do this.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah, we're gonna do 5 and see if we can get. Maybe there's a demon up in here. Are they only in football? Oh.
I mean, I'm under NFL. I haven't done anything other than NFL.
Pass yards. Do we got? All right, we like Josh Allen. See if we can win 100 times our money. Passing yards, receiving yards. Come on, demon. Look, this segment's taking way too long. Oh, interceptions, no. Kicking points, no. Tackles, no. So it's like it's like fantasy numbers. All right, I like Olave. And let's see what this does. What does $5 do on this? So we more. You got to do more. More. Holy moly. This one pays $5, pays $160. What's that? I don't even know. 32 times your money.
Let's do it.
Doing it. PrizePicks. Promo code C3. It's the way to go. Help us continue to grow. Help our sponsors. Let's go to one of our guys. I think this is G Baby.
Do you know what time it is? I'm sorry, bro. I'm coming on 10. Do you know what time it is? Hold on. I'm in the car right now. Ready? It's fucking showtime. What's going on, y'all? It's Lou from fucking Fort Myers.
What up, Lou?
How about them win against some dirty birds? Dirty birds. If we can't make the playoffs, neither can you. Fuck y'all. That's how I'm feeling. Fuck, bro. That win forgave everything that Frank Wright did. Low-key not, but it low-key did. I needed that win week 1.
Yep.
If Reich, bro, move. Come on. If Reich won that shit week 1 against some dirty birds, right? That's fine. I'm not even mad. All my parlays missed. Every single one of them missed. I mean, I went 0 for 8, missed. You know, I thought we was going to get stomped on, man. I didn't even watch the game. I didn't even go to the game. I fucked around, bought tickets for the Jags and Panthers, thinking it was going to be at Bank of America. This shit up in Florida. Now I got to refund my flight and everything, hotel and the rental car. But shit, I'm about to go see my boy.
Shit.
See my boy, man. Shout out C3, bro.
Hey.
And to you Bryce defenders, all I gotta say is, listen, we cannot lie. That 90 yard, if I'm not mistaken, game-winning drive, that was masterclass. That right there was masterclass. Besides that duck that he threw to Mingo, that was masterclass. That was masterclass. To you Bryce defenders, though, that ain't clearing up shit. I need to see that times 10. I need to see 3 more of those next year. I need to see how he plays against Green Bay, a competent coach, not Arthur Smith, because clearly he's missing a screw. But yes, competent coach. I don't even know if I'm saying the word right. I need to see how he does against Tampa this time. And low-key, I hope we keep Taper. That's his name, Chris Taper. I hope we keep him. Because if you really do the film on, like, how he played that game, he took the knee. Like, he was just playing smart as fuck. He took the knee and went for the kick. Instead of, like, taking that risk, like, doing some dumb shit that Frank would do. Frank would have fucked that up. I'm telling y'all right now.
He's got a second part of his call, and we'll play it. But
I love it, man. I love the excitement. We need it. Thank you for the shout out to C3. I like Chris Tabor. And by the way, I agree with what you said too. I know y'all disagreed with me on the post-game show about this, but I think the way they played it was perfect. I like the fact that they didn't go for a touchdown. I like the fact that they set up Eddie Pinheiro for an easy field goal. I like the decision to do what they did. It ended up in a W. I feel like this is a good segue to this. I wanted to talk to you guys about Ejiro Evero and our defense. And the reason why is because we have some pretty crazy numbers when it comes to our defense and what we've been doing. And I've been someone that has been saying I want to retain Evero. I want him to be a constant going forward. And I hope whoever the next head coach is does retain Ejiro Evero. There's even a contingent of people that want Evero to be the next head coach. So I have to consider that too. But I was reading these stats to CK before the show, and check this out. How good is Ejiro Evero's defense for Carolina? Carolina needs to keep this man at all costs. Carolina has not allowed a 300-yard passer all season. They have held opposing quarterbacks to less than 200 yards passing in 8 games. They're third overall in total defense yards, third overall in total passing defense yards, 7th and third down conversion against. And all of this despite only 20 sacks, which is currently the fewest in the NFL. To me, I think you can kind of blame that on talent of us really only having Brian Burns as our primary pass rusher. I mean, listen, those are some crazy defensive numbers, man. And we know that the defense has been what's kept us in most of these games. My question to everyone is, what are the chances that we actually do retain Ejiro Evero? And do you think that maybe he should be in the running to be the next head coach of the Panthers?
CK?
It's hard to do that. Listen, those numbers, while they look impressive on the surface, they are very misleading.
I think they're fraudulent.
One of the most indicative things. So we want to talk about the number one, or where we're at with pass yards. We're also we have the least amount of pass attempts against our defense out of any team in the entire NFL. Okay. So that part I think is also indicative of what we're dealing with. Their red zone defense is absolutely horrendous. We allow 75% of every trip into the red zone to end in a touchdown. Listen, people have said that I've cherry picked those stats, right? Those are some of the most important stats when you're going to present other pieces of evidence saying this defense is good. I think this is the most accurate. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that you cannot accurately defend this defense without having that entire picture. They're obviously, with the lowest number of pass attempts against this defense, logically they're going to have one of the better pass defenses when it comes to yards, and that's going to inflate their number. And when you're talking about rush, we're in the top 5 with number of rush attempts against our defense. So when we know that teams are just rushing us, it's a lot easier to play against the yards. They're dealing with short yardage fields, thanks to our offense being insufficient. Listen, I don't want to take anything away from Evero because this unit has performed above what would be expected with the injuries we had. But I can't look at that and honestly think that there's anything impressive about that at this point in time.
Okay.
Let's start with this. I'll start first with the question about retaining Ejiro Evero. And I got to think that first the answer is yes, is that you want to keep a guy who has demonstrated an ability to muscle through a lot of these conditions and has had a track record, who's probably not going to go and just get a head coaching job out of this or something. Look, you've seen other teams do it. I believe who is it that somebody retained? Was it the Texans guy that retained? There's been a couple of teams that have successfully kept the defensive coordinator when they brought in an offensive guy. Even Sean Payton wanted to keep Ejiro Evero on his staff. So I don't think it's out of the question. And I would argue that this unit has overperformed given the talent and some of the adversity they have faced.
Right.
So I want to compliment Ejiro Evero. I want to compliment how he has had a tough situation with an offense that hasn't done a lot of favors. I do want to counter and support CK on what he's talking about here, is that if Strats is saying that we're cherry picking, or that he's cherry picking or leaving some out of the picture, this tweet is also leaving some out of the picture.
That's my point. Is I listen, my entire point just now was I think they're performing above what we would have expected with what they're dealing with, right? With not having an offense that's really providing complementary football that's keeping them off the field. Like the time of possession, I imagine, is heavily in the other team's favor when you're talking about our offense versus the other offense, on average. But listen, I don't want to take anything away from what the unit has done, but to pretend like this is an elite unit is an absolute fallacy. You can't logically look at these numbers and not look at the other ones and realize this is misleading. We're dead last in turnovers, as your bastard son says. We're dead last when it comes to the amount of plays that other teams have run against us, or from a pass play perspective.
But let me play devil's advocate.
Yes, let's finish one thing, because I got one other couple of stats to put out there, and that is that when you look at these passing stats and how they have not been prolific against the Carolina Panthers, but then you bitched all season long about how shitty fucking CJ Henderson was and how shitty Dante Jackson is and this and that. This is the gist of it is teams have not had to do much to beat the Carolina Panthers. They haven't. And one other thing, I would love to see kind of time of possession numbers, because anytime Carolina has had any semblance of offensive success, it's taken like 90 days for it to happen. These drives even the game-winning drive against the Texans took 5 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. It only went 60 yards, right? We have any offensive possession the Panthers have had any success with, that means have found any way to put any points up, has taken so long off the clock that it minimizes plays. It takes plays out of the game. But teams have been able to beat this Panthers team with like 200 yards of total offense. So I don't necessarily say just because you've got decent passing numbers. Look, the fucking 2 weeks ago, we got blown out 28-6 by the Saints, and they had 200 yards of offense, dude.
Okay, but this is where I think that both of you are missing the context here. One, there are three things that you have to consider. The amount of injuries that we've had on this team.
Oh, we're not missing that. We're complimenting them over that. We're complimenting
hold
them.
on. Then you have to think the lack of talent that we have. And I mentioned that earlier. We have the least amount of sacks this season, but you also think that we only have Brian Burns as our primary pass rusher. And then you add on the fact, and you've already been alluding to it, that our offense never, ever helps out our defense.
I feel like you're just saying what we just said.
But this is why I'm saying that, like, Ejiro Evero, everything that he's done this year, the numbers aren't as great as that might let it on to. But when you look at all of those things and stack them on top of each other, and also consider how the defense has kept us in pretty much every game, most weeks, I think that's pretty damn impressive.
I don't think we're missing that. I think we're agreeing. About that is impressive. I just don't like to see third in this, top in this, and all of a sudden you think that this fucking defense is out there getting shit done. Is the defense is the only thing that that's performed better than we expected it to, given those circumstances. So that is a plus. And yes, I would try to keep them all that. The one question I have is what somebody said about the caller brought up about bringing Tabor back, Camping back, right? Well, Kev said, didn't we say the same shit about Camping last year? And then the offensive line sucks this year. I don't think Ejiro Evero is the guy, but is there any concern if you're a new coach in here and you've got assistant coaches from the previous regime texting the owner, positioning themselves? So I think this is that I don't think Evero looks to be, his fingerprints are on that, but it sure seems like Chris Tabor and Campen's fingerprints, that those are Tepper's boys. So if you're a head coach coming in, is there any concern with those discussions, those rumors, even if you want to keep Evero?
I mean, maybe, again, if you're a brand new head coach, like, I would just feel like instead of having to redo everything,
right,
in order to keep some consistency on this team, do everything in your power to convince Ejiro Evero to stay. And
How about if there is a coach to keep, it's him?
Yeah, and consider
And
that this
Tabor.
is a guy that has to have head coaching aspirations one day himself. Say, hey, man, listen, come with us, be with us for another year. We're going to try and get this offense off the ground, and let's have a really good team next year. Then everyone and their mama in the next coaching hire cycle is going to be clamoring for a guy like Ejiro Evero to be their head coach. And I found this literally just as we were talking. This is a defensive leader, yards allowed. Again, Carolina, it says that we're number 3, man. And like I said, considering all those things, bro, you have to take into consideration how good Ejiro Evero has been for this defense with all the injuries, with no offense on the other side of the ball, the lack of talent. I think that's pretty damn impressive.
I think if there's anybody to celebrate on this defense other than Derek Brown, it's Ejiro Evero.
Yeah.
But other than that, fuck those numbers. This is where I'm glad Greg's not up here at this. And I love Greg. I thought he was hoping he was going to come in. But, like, I watched this fucking team. Nothing feels top 3 in this team, period.
Yeah, that's my only issue is, like, if you're trying to sell me a bill of goods that this team is a top 5, is a top 5 defense, then I'm not buying that. That's where that's where I don't agree with that. They haven't really been put to an honest test where they're playing from behind and they're having to stop the opposing defense or the opposing offense, right?
They won a game 9-7 against a team that's 6 and whatever that can't beat them fucking anybody.
Right. And so ultimately where I struggle with wanting to crown this team is I just, there's a lot. It's same thing the last year. Like last year we had the similar thing. It was, we have one of the best defenses in the league, you know, when you look at yards per game, but we had the exact same issue. It was all misleading stats. When you actually look at the bare number of everything, we're not really that. We're middle of the pack, which isn't bad. Again, given what we're dealing with. I do want Evero back. I want him as our defensive coordinator again. I just don't know that you can use what he's done on this team to be able to justify him having a head coaching position with the Panthers.
So White Chocolate sent me this. This is NFL time of possession percentage, including overtime. Carolina is number 4.
And you look at these teams that are outside of Dallas, they're all kind of grinded at. Well, Cleveland, no quarterback, no offense, slow
What do you mean
moving.
Cleveland doesn't have a quarterback? Baby Joe Flacco.
Oh, God, shut the fuck up.
Fucking throwing it around, throwing the pill.
Here is one other component I do think. First, I think we are saying the same thing in a lot of ways.
I mean, we are.
But I fully
like,
agree with CK. No, is that if you're going to if you want to sell me Ejiro Evero, this is how you, not sell me. This is how I sell him. I sell him as a coach on a team that has had nothing but dysfunction, that invested really all of its energy and effort in the offseason to trying to jumpstart the offense, and clearly did not look to upgrade or even tune up this defense in any way. That you got a coach that also dealt with injury after injury to starting players, found a way to continue to field a competitive defense, one that also exceeded your expectations half the time, kept you in games, yes, selling point. Number 2 selling point, continuity, building off of that instead of starting from scratch, blowing everything up, is that if we just had an offense that scored some fucking points, keep building and let him develop a defensive vision for this team, selling point. Third point, and I think this is really the probably the crux of it, is does the team want to continue in that direction of a 3-4? And if they do, then sold. Keep them.
Well, I think they have to.
But if you bring in another coach who doesn't like that, if you get a coach now that says this is fuck David Tepper and whatever he says, fuck this is I know the way, and I don't think this team is suited to be a 3-4. I think 3-4 is over. Like, then there's no reason keeping them. I think there are a lot of reasons to keep them, but the last on the list is that the Panthers have a top 5 defense to me. That's the last reason. I don't even think you need to put that on the resume for me to fucking have plenty of reasons to want him to keep back as a coach.
Off either. I understand.
It's not true. They don't got no fucking top 5 defense.
But at the same time, like, okay, y'all said that we're agreeing and we're all saying the same points, but you're not taking them to heart.
I've seen top 5 defenses in Carolina, and this is not fucking one of them, dude.
But you have not
teams
seen
run on this team whenever they fucking want.
You have not seen the defense with the lack of talent that we have on the interior of our D line outside of Derek Brown. We don't have the necessary edge rushers. We haven't had J.C. Horn or any of our. We haven't had Jeremy Chin. Xavier Woods missed a bunch of times. And we still have those numbers that are statistically putting us as one of the best. Look, imagine what could happen if you got an injection of talent on this defense, man.
We're not arguing that, but this is not a top 5 defense, motherfucker. I've seen a team that had 60 fucking sacks, bro. 60 sacks. I saw a team that could have won I've seen 2 teams in Panthers history that I have seen. Huh?
All of the opposing points against the Panthers all come in garbage time.
Then why are we never leading in the fourth quarter?
Because we never have an offense, and the defense, because they're having to do everything all game.
Oh my God.
When the fourth quarter comes around, they're tired. They don't have the energy. They're on the field all the time, and now these holes are starting to open up. And of course, that's going to happen. They have no offense on the other side of the field to compliment them.
Look at this. Daniel says we're ranking 32nd in rushing touchdowns allowed. Shut the fuck up with this. Stop over defend. Just say Evero has exceeded.
No. That's not on Evero. No, that is not on Evero.
Hey, while we say it's not a fucking top 10, it's not even a top 10 defense, bro.
Whatever, dude. I'm saying that no one else is doing that with that kind of
not even top 15.
Cody, you believe this is a top 5 defense?
I don't think it's a top 15.
Cody, I honestly want to know your opinion.
I believe that a lot of teams, I mean, obviously, except for the upper echelon like the Cowboys, I believe that teams are going to continue to struggle against this defense. And by the way, if they
answer the question, is it a top 10 defense?
Top 10, all things considering, yeah.
No way you believe it's a top 10.
If you look at the numbers.
We have one player that you would consider an elite player, and that's Derek Brown.
Right, and you're making my point.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. He's not at all.
Yes,
you're wrong on this, Cody.
No, we're saying if you have all these different outlets that are saying that we have a top defense, and that you keep on bringing up the lack of talent that we have on this team.
I didn't keep up. I just brought that up for the first time.
Incredible. That's incredible that our defense has been able to do what it has.
I think it's
all
misleading.
Of the things working against them.
You understand that, like, how it could be misleading?
How about this?
You believe that none of the points we're making are valid?
This top defense played a top offense, and the Dolphins scored 42 points against it.
And that wasn't garbage time. That was They were down by 21 points.
One of the better offenses in all the NFL.
Okay, this top defense played a top offense in the Lions. They scored 42 points against it. The fucking Seahawks scored 37. The Colts scored 27. Well, that one actually was on offensive turnovers.
The Seahawks beat Philadelphia last
33.
night. The Colts are in the running to win the AFC South. So again, what are we doing here? Man?
And you know what? The defense wasn't the problem with the Colts. So I'm not going to give. But look, how about this? Is partially or are partially these top 10 numbers inflated by the fact that the Panthers have played the Bears, the Titans, the Bucks, the Saints, the Falcons. You know, I mean, they played shitty teams, bro. They played shitty. Anytime they've played any team that had any semblance,
they got 30 or 40 bombs.
Good. They got fucking torched, Tommy.
So then, why would you even say that Ejiro Rivera is worth keeping as a coach next year?
Because I feel like they've overperformed for what
his talent.
These overperformed based on what this team has been. Again,
vastly overperformed.
How am I cherry picking Roosevelt Mungo? Look at this. I will read off this. Here's who the Panthers have played. This is the scores: 24-10 loss to the Falcons week 1. The Falcons fucking suck. Okay, 24 points, not terrible. Saints, 2017. I don't know. Last time I checked, Saints fucking sucked. So all of a sudden, we're like, oh, God, look at this defense holding them to 20. Seahawks, 37-27. Vikings, 21-13, and they scored 21 points without even fucking throwing the ball 131 yards. Lions,
we were in the game.
Okay.
We weren't really
they were 0-4 at that time, by the way, Cody. So let's not act like they were fucking barn burners themselves. Lions, 42 points, 42-24. Dolphins, 42-21. Texans, you hold them. Okay, good. Colts, hold them. But you're talking about the Texans, the Colts, the Bears, Cowboys, fucking decimate. No chance. Now, is that a collective failure? Am I blaming that on the defense? But don't come out here and say that this defense can hold any relatively good offense. And I know it's unfair to ask them to do that when your offense ain't doing shit. But come on, man. I've seen fucking real defenses, bro. This shit is
the same shit. If the Panthers had any semblance of a fucking offense this year, you cannot tell me that.
Yes, I can.
And
I can tell you this. This couldn't hold 2013's jockstrap. It couldn't hold their jockstrap.
Different rosters. Entirely different rosters. I would even argue that
that's the point. The defense is not top 10.
This is more impressive from Rivera about what he's been able to do.
We're not arguing that. We're not arguing that. No, I am arguing that the team is not a top 10 defense.
All right, but that's not
that is impressive. I think it's impressive that the Panthers had a offensive line that was in the top half of the league last year. But that doesn't mean it was a top 5 fucking offensive line. I think what this defense has done has been pleasantly surprising.
Man. It's been more than just pleasantly surprising. Dude, the amount of players that we have been missing on defense this year is
I feel like you're not saying anything that's going to change my mind. That does not matter. These are all buts, ifs, and buts. You know what? And your uncle is your aunt, and your aunt is your uncle because all you got is nuts and buts and ifs and whats. I'm just saying this. You put this team against a playoff fucking offense, they're fucking getting toasted, dude. They can't stop the run. You really want to believe that fucking this secondary is going to hold up? Shut the fuck up.
Dude, who's on the field?
Oh, dude. That's just your fucking sleight of hand. You might as well. You know what? If you could use your arms better, you would be a magician.
They are doing with these absolute trash ass players, and they continue to overperform almost every single Sunday, and they're the only reason why we are ever in games.
Sleight of hand, straw man argument. You're gaslighting me.
No, dude, you guys are taking this big major factor.
No, we're just saying it's not a top 10 defense. I'm making one simple statement.
That we don't have any offense at all the entirety of the year. It doesn't matter that we're missing our best young players. Most of the people that we signed in free agency on defense, none of those are out there. It's like, come on, dude, you're expecting water out of wine.
First of all, Mr. Stratz, I don't know what gaslighting is, so I just say it randomly because I have no idea and I can't ever understand it. Like cap, no cap. It took me fucking 3 years to figure out that shit.
You're arguing. You're saying
no straw man. You're making a straw man argument.
No. Gaslighting is saying like that I'm arguing, making a point that I'm not actually making.
Yeah, I actually. Then you know what is You're not. All we have said, all I am saying is this defense is not top 10.
Yeah.
And that's not fine. If it isn't, it's not because of
if it isn't, no, that's all I fucking said.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I'm giving Evero credit for doing a lot with what he's got. Like that part, let that not be taken away from anything that's being said here. I think that's a valuable piece to what he brings to the table is valuable. I just don't know. The point that I'm making is you can't use the stats that you're saying to justify him creating a top 10 defense, right? Which is why I don't think that it's worthy of saying that he's going to be the next head coach. But I do say that he should stick around as defensive coordinator because I am impressed with what he's been able to do with what he has. That's what I'm saying. Like right now, the argument that we have a top 10 defense is one that's absolutely ridiculous.
Look, Christian Hunt says this. Hold on.
These numbers don't lie.
Yes, they do. They do fucking lie. Look, Christian Hunt says, okay, not top 10, but you're saying to discredit Evero for consideration to be head coach. Nope. Never even mentioned head coach.
I did for our head coaching position. Now, I think he could be a great head coach, but I just don't think, again, here's the idea that I have. When have you ever hired a team, a coach
off a 2-14 team?
Off a 2-14 team, and they've been successful? Or when has it ever taken place? I just don't think that you can justify doing that. He came off of the Denver team last year as well, right? They didn't play well as a team either. His defense played decent, right? His defense wasn't lights out last year, but it was
good. It was
like he continues to overachieve with bad teams.
Perfect. Guess what? We all agree on that because I said this, Cody. I said that outside of Derek Brown, Ejiro Evero merits the most fucking praise out of this defense.
Okay.
He has exceeded anything, right? It's like what we say with Derek Brown. It's like, he's fucking playing lights out monster, but it's just getting swallowed up because he's on a shitty team.
But
right. I agree. I think Ejiro Evero has he has outkicked the coverage.
Vastly
he has hit it hard. What's a good golf phrase for hitting a monster off the tee that you didn't expect? He got a hold of one, but I don't think that you can just say he's got a top 10 defense and that's it. I would say his defense has been remarkably good given the fact he ain't got shit. That's what I would say. That's my number one point. And you know what? The defense has gotten better. Out of every unit, the defense arguably is the only one that's gotten better from week to week. And I don't know how, given the fact that I don't even know half the players on the team. I fucking watch this team. Don't act like I don't know the name of this. What was that dude? Trumbull or whatever.
Not having to start in two corners the majority of the year. Dante Jackson missed time.
Agreed.
Jeremy Chin missed time.
Nice magician move.
And Carolina has not allowed a 300-yard passer all season. And we're third in overall total defense.
But that is a misleading stat.
That is vastly outperforming expectations. That's like you're expecting.
There's pieces to that are just you're misleading the people. You're also leaving out the fact that we have the fewest pass attempts out of any team in the NFL placed against our defense. So you can't put that we have.
Actually don't even know if we have a good secondary.
But couldn't that also go in my favor? We've had all of these injured corners, and yet they're not even attempting to throw the ball again.
Because they don't have to. Because they're up by 21 points, bro. They're up by 21 points.
Even when you of the games in the past 6 weeks, we have been in close games with just about everyone outside of fucking the Cowboys. Like, come on, it was a close.
No, the Colts game over. 20 Colts over. Cowboys over. I want to say this. I would have to look at the game. Yeah, man. I guess. And there's in the Titans, but you know what? Always trailing. Look, and how about this? Going back to the David Newton. No, does the David Newton tweet or whatever clip about not leading in the fourth quarter? Does that suggest that any of these teams, whether the game is close or not, have had to try to push the pedal to the metal offensively to beat us? No, they just have to not lose. Look, I think we are arguing over different things. I truly think we're arguing, or maybe we are just. I think this. The last point to people say me. I don't know how if you can bring anybody back. I just don't know if it's going to be healthy. I don't know if. Imagine what the fucking narrative would be if they gave Evero the head coaching position. Promoting a black man, finally. Didn't give him no fucking tools to work with.
Steve Wilkes all over again.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that the answer to the coaching solution is on the roster. Not that the person that Evero couldn't do it, but that Dave Gettleman is going to hire anybody. To think that Tabor, what if Tabor wins out? You think he's going to hire him? Nope.
Well, he also doesn't really want to be.
I would. So, you don't know that. You just made that shit up.
No, I didn't.
You just made that up.
He had no aspirations to be a head coach.
Oh my god!
That was one of the main reasons
made that shit up.
Him. No, because also let's say you made Zero Rivero the interim coach. If the team looks bad, then it's like everybody's putting it all on Zero Rivero when it had nothing to do with him. I honestly think it was a mercy to not name Zero Rivero the interim head coach, because then you're not blaming all the crap with this team on him.
Don't disagree, but you're trying to tell me if Chris, you think Chris Tabor's going to decline the interview?
Whatever, dude. No one's hiring Tabor. But
I agree. I totally agree with that.
No, I wanted to highlight this because I think Strat said
we got to get through this call. We still have a lot of calls. I thought we would be done an hour ago.
Neither side is including the point through the missing players. Though the missing players are a large factor, and we still did well in most of the games. That's what I'm saying. When you add all the context together of everything that we've been missing and the lack of talent and the utter ineptitude on offense, dude, Rivero vastly outkicked the coverage this year. Vastly.
We've only said that over and over again. So
nah, you didn't though.
Yes, we did. Just said it's not a top 10 fucking defense. Said it's not a top 10 defense, and I will not fucking budge on that. I can look at this.
Where is it? Where is it? What number?
Middle of the pack.
Like what? Give me a number.
15, 12, 15, somewhere in there.
So it's not top 10, but it's top 15, and you're fighting about that?
Yes, because your bitch ass said 5 earlier, and I tried to give you some. I tried to give you some leeway. I was trying to be nice to say, is it even top 10?
You asked me top 10.
I know, because you had kept saying top 5 over and over. You kept dropping those names.
Top 5. I was saying what other people said, that we were number 3 and number 4 in yards allowed.
Guess what? I would take.
Yes.
I would take fucking 10 defenses over this one any day. And you know what? That doesn't mean I'll take 10 defensive coordinators over Ejiro Evero.
You'll take 10, but not 12, right? And not
I don't think, again, I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. And I don't think this is referendum on Ejiro Evero, but I think you trying to say this is a top 10 defense is just misleading. I think you should just start with this: is Ejiro Evero should have had a bottom 20 defense, and somehow it's in the top 15.
No,
I think that's a fucking big ass compliment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that statement.
All right, let's go to the next call.
More impressive than that.
I disagree.
More impressive? Well, gosh, he sucks dick too.
More fucking impressive than that.
Oh my god, you made me fuck the call up.
Nah, you didn't.
And we got to listen to a whole nother 3 minutes of this guy telling me why we got to.
This is part 2. You haven't heard? Go listen to the first one. But like I said,
we heard it and argued about it for 74 minutes.
That game-winning drive, he would have found some fucking way to lose. That man is a loser, always will be. I don't wish nobody downfall, but him, he's right on the edge. I pray on for that man's downfall. He's right on the edge, bro. But I'm ready to talk about free agency. I low-key want Devontae Adams. T. Higgins. But, hey, fuck it. I know we don't got a first-round draft pick. I need y'all to answer this question. Like, truthfully, how mad would y'all be if we said, okay, we don't have no draft picks, whatever, yada, yada. But fuck it. Let's draft all masterclass linemen. Let's try to get the best lineman that's in the draft.
Done.
Every single from center, guard.
I just
tackle.
nutted in my pants.
Every single one of them. And probably like a wide receiver. Like, come on, bro. They picked up Tank in the 3rd round. You know what I'm saying? Bryce knows some wide receivers. He looks at this guy and goes, oh, yeah, he's nice. I want him. Like Stroud did. Stroud said, I want Tank. He's nice. He's nasty. Bro, Bryce, you need to do some of your own recruiting, bro. And this is as much as your team as much as mine. Shit, I've been a Panthers fan longer than him. Tell you that. But, nah.
All right. Well,
I'm ready to
thank
talk
you.
about
Thanks
free
for the
agents.
call. Thanks for play more than one call, minute and a half. Answer that question. For me, it's very simple. This is what I fucking been saying. Not only have I been saying slamming the fucking build the wall for fucking 8 years now. I feel like so long ago that I feel bad for saying build that wall because like it's just like a stale ass campaign slogan. Like I tried to campaign in 2017 on build that wall and nobody elected me. So I went back in 2019 for more. Nobody elected me. Then I went back this year, build that wall. If I was the GM, and I'm not qualified to be, but half of these motherfuckers ain't qualified either. Ultimately, I just say this, is I'm investing a lot of resources, both in free agency and the NFL draft, to the offensive line. That's it. Like, if I am, and I know, look, you never pick in the draft just like, hey, this is the need. But like, if we could get a top, like a good center in the 2nd or 3rd and not have him start right away, you know, a 3rd rounder, a center who comes in and plays his 2nd year, or if Bozeman gets hurt his rookie year, we can go and get a top flight free agent. I think we need to make 3 additions on the offensive line, 2 in free agency, 1 in the draft, or 1 in free agency and 2 in the draft. But anything less than 3, I don't think is enough. I think you are band-aiding something you need to tourniquet. That's my opinion. Build that wall. I would, you know what? I get a hard on drafting offensive linemen now. Just do it all. I'm into, you know what? I like them chunky. I like them chunky. Let's go to the next call.
Gentlemen, how you doing? Hey, we need to start talking about head coaches. I think if we start talking now,
Ejiro Evero, head coach.
Spread the word, have some kind of influence, because there's nothing I hate more than fucking pundits and experts chiming in on their fucking shit, just to get their airtime. I think we need to talk about pros and cons. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's go ahead and take out all the fucking old fogies out because, unless you're just coming into the stopgap, I just don't think Tepper wants to go with an old fogey. But we really need to consider Ejiro Evero. I think he's not being talked about enough. Look at what he's done with the defense. He's been working with mostly scrubs, first year in a 3-4. You can't deny what he's been able to get out of the players. You can't put a price on that. And I know there's a lot of jibber jabber about Wilkes and everyone wanted to play it for him. But what I saw in the field last year was almost half the time they looked really shitty, almost like they took a week off. And I just don't see that out of Evero. I think he's better than Wilkes. I think we have to find a way to keep him. Sure, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach right now. Maybe he'd like to stay, but we got to find a way. So let's say we do get an old fogey. Hopefully we can keep Evero as someone who can be a head coach later. But the other person is Slowick. I like Slowick, like Cody does. I've heard about what the players are saying about challenging every inch on the field. But I just don't know that much about him. I don't know if the players are going to play for him. He may be a little overwhelmed with head coaching. Next one's Ben Johnson. I'm not liking this guy. I know he's the pundit's pick. I just don't like his vibe. There's something off. I'm just not seeing him coming into any team and people wanting to go, run through fucking brick walls for the guy.
Right.
I think they can do it with Evero or Mike Tomlin maybe if he's available. Maybe Jim Harbaugh. But we got to find a way to keep Evero. Just my thoughts. What do you guys think? What are the pros and cons?
Again, I agree. I think we should keep Evero if we can. He's already declined to come back to the Denver Broncos when they had a new coaching regime to come back. They wanted him back as a defensive coordinator, and he declined that opportunity. Now that's not just that could be in lieu of the fact that we already had an offer out to him, but I think that was news before we were interviewing him. Thank you. I mean, if you're talking about head coaching, again, I'm not saying completely remove him from the running. I just don't I don't think that putting him as a head coach is going to be a situation that I feel like it wouldn't set us up for success moving forward. And mainly because I've seen the teams that have the most success draw from successful franchises. And that's what I'm hoping that we'll be able to do. Instead of this consistent recycling of head coach like we did from the Colts, unfortunately.
All right, we're going to the next call. We're powering through. A lot.
Seasons, greetings from Idaho, C3 family. Just wanted to call in, wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Chanukah, Happy New Year.
Festivus.
Cody, I'm really sorry your Falcons lost last weekend.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Fuck that dumb shit, bro.
It's all right. Next year, the Falcons might be better. I'm just kidding, man. I love you. Hey, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. Everybody's on the quarterback this side or that side. Tony, I think you're right. You just want to see get a little better every week. We haven't really seen that, and I would just throw it out there. These last few games, let's just see if Bryce can outplay the opponent's quarterback. Chalk that up for a win. Who cares what the score is? I would ask you guys, what games has Bryce outplayed the opposing quarterback? No ifs, ands, or buts. No Brady Christensen tore his bicep. No excuses. Just what games did he outplay? Because those quarterbacks have issues too.
2 games.
I'm just putting it out there. I hope you guys have a great one. Cody, you talked about sending you some potatoes, man. I'll email Cat Chronicles. You feel comfortable? I'll send you some potatoes, man. Getting some tater sticks. You don't even know what you're getting into there.
No, we
Half
don't.
French fry, half tater tot.
Oh, holy
Take
moly.
care. Keep pounding, C3.
I think the answer to his question is 2.
I mean, it's hard to argue that.
Texans and Falcons.
Yeah.
Because even in the close games, the first Falcons game, 3-2 picks that led to losing. Carr played like shit every game, but hit a couple of plays down the stretch. Maybe you could say Carr in the second game, but we lost 28-6. I don't even know if that's possible. 2 games. The answer is 2 games. He's only outplayed quarterbacks in 2 games.
All right.
And I would say I challenge anybody to tell me what other game.
I couldn't. I don't think there is one. I did want to, on the note of Bryce. So apparently he's at the Hornets game tonight. So Cody, that bodes well because based on the opinion you had of CJ Stroud going to his white party, and CJ Stroud out here just
I want my
destroying
quarterback
things.
at a black party.
Yeah. So
Like Rashard Mendenhall.
The fact that he's not out here, studying tape and working with his receivers and stuff like that. Bryce Young might actually, throw for 300 yards this week, guys.
He needs some fucking time away from football. I agree.
Hey,
Shit.
Tabor gave him the week off, the day
that is
off last
interesting.
week, and then it turned into them.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I was wondering about that. I was wondering if we were going to bring that up, that Tabor gave them the day off, even though they didn't win. And I think you have to do that when you're talking about a team that's only got 1 win up to that point. Like they haven't had a Monday off.
You think the extra 10 more minutes of studying at that point is gonna, if you failed every math test and you got a math test the next day and you're like, fuck it, you got to study for 15 more minutes and you're dog ass tired, that 15 minutes is really gonna fucking do anything. Tabor, I think when you get the funk of losing on you and we heard Jonathan Stewart when he came on this podcast, CK, he talked about how everybody else stopped believing in him, but they found a way to continue to believe in themselves. I don't think the Panthers believed in themselves this year. And I'm not saying that they gave up. I'm not saying they quit, but I think even it was crept into their psychology is like, this monkey, I don't know if we can get it off our back. And I don't know if just dwelling on it more, it's like more film study is going to change this. I don't think the Panthers have played loose.
I agree.
And if anything, that's what I would say about Bryce, that it was the concern going forward about starting him and about putting him out there is him playing. I don't think Bryce has played bad. I think he hasn't played with the confidence and the swagger.
I just think that
we wanted, that he has always played.
I think there's a couple of factors. And again, I know we want to move on to other calls. I think there's a couple. Like when we first started the year, Bryce was holding onto the ball a little bit too long, right? And then he overcorrected because of the people in his ear, and he started throwing the ball away at the first sign of pressure, right? And then he's getting told that that's the wrong thing to do. And so every time he's made an adjustment, he has been the one at fault for making the decisions to do what he's doing. And I think that there could be a sense of, you're starting to think too much, right? You're starting to think about what's going on too off. Like you're now staring down your first receiver because you're like, all right, this is the guy we're supposed to go to. This is the perfect coverage. This is what we're going to be doing. And maybe you're not coming off of that guy fast enough to be able to see you have a streaking wide open Miles Sanders on the coming out of the backfield, right? I get that, but I do think that this game made me feel like these guys just started to feel like they felt natural. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like anything was being forced down their throats,
or at least starting to. It's just go play some football,
right?
And that's why that's where I get fucking annoyed by the over Oh, creativity on offense. The play, like sometimes you just got to go and win the down,
right?
Win the play and shrug off your. You get think about it like putting or baseball. Baseball might be another great sport where it's so mental, but the mental part becomes your own brain. That's the fucking problem. You need to cut your, and if anything, that's actually what have been Bryce Young's greatest, I guess, the slowdown right now, or what we thought was not going to, there wasn't going to be this transition period, is they talk about the game slowing down, right? Is that you just start to react and play. And you could see it, Bryce, out there thinking. Yeah. You can see him out there and you get frustrated, and then you get more and more frustrated. And we've all been there, guys. We know, look, I know this is that when Cody's not here to help me with the comments, or I can't tell you how much Cody just starting the show takes the mental pressure off where I can just go and flow into it in the beginning. I think Bryce and the whole team wasn't flowing. And they're still not, by the way. But you got to be able to play loose and fast, and they haven't been doing that. Cody, you want the real answer?
Hey, Tony, this is Deez, man. What's up, dude? I just wanted to drop you a line. It's that time of year again. Wanted to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, brother, man. Everybody in C3 Nation appreciates what you do. And I wanted to wish everyone involved with C3 a very Merry Christmas as well. I was just kind of thinking, you might want to mention a couple of things on the show. First of all, CarolinaCatChronicles.com is still there. We got C3 mugs available for the holidays for those gifts for those guys that work. It's a great coffee mug's a great way to go, especially for a boss. You don't know what to get him. He's got everything up, but he don't have a C3 mug. You could go that route. Yeah. On the other side of the coin, you got some people at work you don't like that much. We could always go the Panther pickle route and get them a "Shut the Hell Up" T-shirt from CarolinaCatChronicles.com. That's the one gift you can give, and you got to play it off and be like, well, hey, it's just a podcast to listen to. Pickle's crazy; he'll say anything. You know what I mean? And I'm not telling you to shut the hell up. I mean, I like you personally, boss man. Or if you don't like your boss and you really don't care about your job, you could get them a G-Baby shirt, just let the guy know that he makes you effing sick. I mean, it's just that simple. And you can play that
drinking out of hers right now.
Hey, that's G-Baby. I didn't say it. You know what I mean? G-Baby does all that.
Man, give this to your uncle at Christmas that you don't like.
It's time to get those gifts to those coworkers and other friends and family from the C3 Panthers Podcast and CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I didn't want to, do a cat call and just shamelessly plug it or anything. I just figured I'd casually give you a call, Tony, and let you know you may want to mention those things. That's probably beneath the brand ambassador just to call in and continuously plug the website, CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and the merchandise, the mug and the T-shirts, Panther Pickle, G-Baby, all there for you. Yeah, I didn't want to do any of that. So, man, I just wanted to call in and say what's up, bro. Happy holidays.
He's
happy holidays to all the C3 brethren. Hopefully you get a lot of cat calls tonight. Hopefully a lot of people call in. Hopefully you have a good show. Just one last thing. Tell my man Cody. Tell him I said hey. Tell him I said what's up. Love that guy. Anyway, come out, man. Take care. Happy holidays. Indeed. Keep counting, C3.
I love that guy, man.
You don't even know how much I love so many of you. D's.
He's the man.
But there are some people. There's a lot. And I mean, there's probably 60 or 70 people or more that I feel some type of good way about when it comes to it's gosh, you care more about, not more about, but you care. Good fucking people, man.
Just as much as any of us, man. Dude, C3 is family, bro. C3 is family, but I made lifelong friends with this man.
Right. No.
Obviously, YouTube, man. So many people in the chat. Kev, Pickle, D's, Strats, Nick, bro, Drew. There's so many people that have just been absolutely incredible that I've gotten to know this pod, man. And we appreciate y'all. And by the way, dude, D's has been making these killer AI generated profile pictures of everyone. And dude, let me tell
he's
you,
branching out. I love this. Now he's got G-Baby in this. He's got
everybody. Muscles Marinara got one.
Look, smoking. I haven't seen Muscles yet. JJ's looks cool as shit. All right, let's keep going with some calls.
Hey, this is Panther Pickle. I just wanted to say, everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Shut the hell up. Oh.
I won't be around Sunday. I'm leaving Saturday and going to West Virginia with my wife's family. I'm not coming back till Monday. But y'all keep the fort down. Keep pounding. Beat the Packers. And to all the Packer fans in the world, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. And y'all have a great day. And Packer fans, keep your cheese up.
Dude, Pickle is Pickle is becoming famous. Not only when we went to training camp, that people just walk up to him and say, "Can you take a picture with me?" and say, "Shut the hell up." Somebody said, "Give me a shut the hell up," and which is where the whole genesis of, I think, the entire shirt came from. Is like, oh shit, this is a calling card. Somebody wrote on the YouTube channel the other day, does Pickle have his own podcast? And it was like,
I think he did start his own YouTube.
Well, they're interested in it. They're interested. And what I'm interested in is helping our people, our friends, and our family develop their platform.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, not under and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. It's like under a C3 umbrella, because that sounds like it would benefit us. What I would like to do is help you build your platform on the C3 Foundation,
a network.
Yeah, where we can continue to build. And what I've found is I thought there would be a saturation point. I don't know if I really thought this. But the people that listen to our podcast or are in here, they can't get enough, dude. You could give them 24/7 coverage and they would fucking be in there comment. I'm exhausted. And they're like, let's queue up a Spaces and fucking talk this shit out. I'm like, holy cow, you guys. I love y'all. So yeah, let's build together. Let's and especially since we've already incurred some of the initial expense that maybe can free and liberate you guys from some of that. Let's figure it out. Yeah, I want you guys to figure out. You're smarter than I am. Let's go. Or shut the hell up. Either way.
Podcasting network.
My calls.
I started at 10 years
Sunday
ago. Never followed
they
it.
showed Thomas Brown on the sideline. I noticed there was no play call sheet in his hand.
Oh, he had one. He just holds it low.
Was he not playing, calling plays directly, or was he just calling plays off the?
Nah, he was. I saw it. At first I saw that same image. And I was like, "What the hell?" He was just looking over there, like out of what. He was holding it low, brought it up late. But also, I don't think there was a crazy impetus for speed in that game. Like, it wasn't like, oh, shit, we got to get this play in. It's like, we're about to run the ball. We're just trying to figure out what we're going to do. All right, next call.
Chat here. I think Frank's system was wrong for the team. I think we all can admit that. He was stubborn, and we saw him admit he was stubborn in week 3 when he doubled down on, I forget who it was that asked him, but someone said something about the play calls, and you remember this point. You should remember this point where he got kind of mad about it and doubled down on it and said, my plays are working. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, fast forward, and Frank gets fired. And I'll skip over all of the stuff about the Athletic article that covers things about people trying to get him to change some stuff around, and he still wasn't changing it. Thomas comes in. He's still in a first-year role. He's basically a rookie in the role of calling plays. And at this point, we see in week 1, he starts to integrate some new plays. But here's the thing. Frank got fired on, was it Monday or Tuesday? You only have a few days to integrate, the playbook was created by Frank. So what more we can't throw out the whole playbook. We have to utilize what we have and build off of what we have, build off of those concepts with other concepts that might be kind of in line with it. So it's not going to be like an immediate overnight thing. It has to be, first off, keep in mind, again, he's still a rookie in play calling, but, then he's only capable of, they only have so many practices between when Frank was fired. Plus you have the shift change of all the stuff going on and the high up range of everything. It's a messy situation week 1. Week 2, we see more improvement. We've seen improvements week to week to week. And I can't sit here and say he's not trying. It looks like he might be. It looks like he is. I think in regards to, sure, are there things that he can improve on? Yes, 100%. I mean, we all can improve on things. The team as a whole has many things they need to improve on. But we can't look at this and just sit. We should be looking at the last 3 games, because this has been a topsy-turvy, up and down ride, roller coaster for everyone involved on that team.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more, but I don't want to just keep this going on.
I disagree.
I'll save what I have for Friday Free for All. How's that? But maybe you can speak to some of those points.
I disagree.
All right, keep on me.
All right. He said the last 3, right? The Panthers scored 9 points in the last game and had 200 yards of offense. I think we should just put an asterisk on that one just because of the weather, right? But the Panthers got smoked 28-6 by the Saints the week before. Thomas Brown was calling the plays then. 21-18, Panthers he's calling the plays. I don't know if I have seen this notable improvement from week to week. I would say this is that felt a little recency bias to me. And that is, we had a competent looking team this last week. So, obviously we have been trending up. Go check the fucking post game and the Tuesday night show from 1 week ago and see how we were feeling about Thomas Brown and the offense and the trajectory. I understand that Frank Reich was not the solution or even part of things going well. I just think to say Thomas Brown's offense is notably different is underwhelming of an argument to me.
But again, I like to maintain consistency when I say it's hard to know what you have in a play caller if they're handicapped by trash talent.
Oh, well, thank you, Frank Reich.
I mean, but dude, this is literally, I said that same thing about Frank Reich. I said that same thing about Joe Brady once upon a time when everybody wanted him to be fired. It's like there's only so much that you can expect from these coaches. By the way, I said this to everyone who would listen as soon as they named Thomas Brown the brand new play caller, because everybody was excited. Oh, Frank Reich and this terrible offense is not going to call it no more. Now we'll see what this offense can do. And I'm like, no, he's not going to wave his hand and all of a sudden produce another wide receiver that can separate, or another guard that could block on the interior. He's not.
We finally got 2 guards that blocked this week, and guess what? You scored 9 points. No, I mean you actually had some semblance of positive movement forward,
right?
And I even think that with Frank Reich too. For as terrible as this offense was, say he didn't adjust, whatever. He clearly did not have the type of players to run the kind of offenses that he's been able to run and has been successful running before.
And we talked to the the Colts guy, Colts Law. What was his name? And he talked a lot about Frank letting go of some of that might be helpful. I don't believe that Frank Reich should have come out and said, I want to phase Thomas Brown in from the beginning. I think he should have brought Thomas Brown in, said, he's going to be my offensive coordinator. I'm going to mentor him in the process. And if he gets in over his head, then I might step in more. I think Frank Reich did it backwards. Or actually, I know he did. And then the fact that he had to give it to him, then take it back. So I'm not going to defend Frank Reich's offensive prowess here. I just don't know if we should celebrate Thomas Brown's necessarily. But you know what? I'm rooting for him. Young coach who just last week we were talking about his wife saying, you're fired, we're all fired, this and that. If this team can build a little momentum, maybe he has a job somewhere next year. Maybe it's not offensive coordinator, but maybe he has a job. Let's go to the next call. Bat fan, come on.
Hey. You know who the fuck it is. Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka! What's good with my motherfucking dogs tonight? CK, what's good with that shiny ass bald head, G? I told you, bro, you the only one that makes that shit just look so fucking nice, dog. I need it. My dad got a bald head, but it ain't as shiny as that motherfucker.
It's the lighting. You got good lighting.
Hey, Cody Black. Cody Lack. I got beef with you, man.
What else is
We'll handle that on Twitter. You dig? My white Italian brother. What's good with you,
I
Tony?
love what he says. You dig.
Tony, you were definitely wrong on this, my G. Listen, y'all. We have to build this offensive line. We got to build the wall. I definitely agree on that. But when I tell you the year of 2024 will be the year that will be the greatest wide receiver draft class ever, it will be better than the 2011 draft class. I need y'all to trust me on this. There's nothing but aliens in this draft class. When you have an Xavier Worthy or a Troy Franklin or an A.D. Mitchell at pick 33, you pull the fucking trigger. Those are aliens.
Okay. If they're that good.
You guys want T. Higgins this, T. Higgins that? That is A.D. Mitchell going into the fucking NFL. There's levels to this fucking shit.
What?
Gay Jackson. You guys heard my last call.
Yeah, he's saying that this other player is a
Scott
T. Higgins quality player.
Gay Jackson? I liked that fucking move. Shaquille Griffin. I liked that.
Oh, shut the fuck up. I'd rather have the one-handed
fucking young
Shaquille.
offensive lineman trying to build a win. Like, that shit works, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I'd rather bring in the vet, the Gay Jacksons of the world. Build the fucking offensive line through free agency. But when I say we must, and I say we must take a couple wide receivers from this fucking draft class, it is so fucking necessary. Aliens. We need aliens. There's freaks, there's monsters, and then there's fucking aliens. We need aliens.
I
y'all
love
talking about,
G-Baby's fucking
There's
lingo.
levels to this fucking shit. I talked about bringing Andrew Norwell back to play left guard. I got clowned for that shit, but that's neither here or there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all know who the
Nah,
fuck
he would have
this
been
is. A lot of you motherfuckers.
Where were we at with that? I love
calling
G-Baby's.
Y'all know who the fuck this is. This G-Baby.
G-Baby's lingo is always, if you could take out the N-word, right, is that he's always got some advanced language that I love. Like, he calls me his white Italian brother. I'm like, all in. I'm all in on that. G-Baby, I'll say this is when it comes to the wide receivers, when I'm talking about not drafting a wide receiver, I am only doing that a vacuum of not knowing who the fuck is out there. So if this is if there are players and it is like that, then that definitely will change the equation. The other thing that he brought up was, I can't remember. Oh, I wanted to say this about, I feel like PrizePicks, when they sign us back and we use because you guys are using the promo code C3. We could have told them when they rolled out this goblins and what was it? Demons and goblins.
Yep.
For Christmas, they should have done like Grinches and elves or something.
Right.
And then changed it to that. They were way off on this marketing ploy. Sorry. C3 program. Maybe that's not the best advertisement there, but use the promo code C3. Product's great. Don't know if the messaging was perfect for the season. Maybe they should have done little baby Jesuses and little devils. Ooh. Or
then they would have got in trouble with all of the religious folk.
Oh, because Muslims gamble all the time?
No, because Christians gamble all the time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so now you're rubbing it in their face.
Wait, no, maybe it's okay for Jewish people to gamble. No, I got to figure out. Now I got to go spend my night trying to figure out if it's okay for Christians to gamble.
Oh, you already repented, dude. You already repented.
I also played PrizePicks already, so I might have to go back already if I go and check the damn canon out.
Yeah, probably.
There we go.
It's G, baby. Right on time. Fucking Tony talking shit about my nigga Kurt Cobain, a.k.a. Curtis fucking Samuel. Y'all want to know what's fucking funny? My white Italian brother has Curtis Samuel on his fucking fantasy fucking team in the C3 Dynasty. He gets on him like fucking crazy.
I don't start that bitch.
Walks around praising Demir Bird. Are you fucking kidding me, Tony? But this is the same motherfucker that doesn't know if fucking Cam Newton should be a fucking Hall of Fame QB.
Chirp.
Tony, what the fuck? And I'm over here defending you left and right. Of course, this team would be a whole lot better with my nigga Curtis Samuel. The Swiss Army knife, man. The nigga that we
who's hurt 98 7,000 times.
Same fucking.
And you love Demir Bird?
I know, but he's undrafted and cheap.
So stop with the bullshit. Sit on Curtis Samuel, and he's on your fantasy team. Stop it. Bryce Young is one of 5 QBs. Well, starting NFL QBs that have 2 winning game-winning drives this season. Put some respect on BY9 name.
Is this possible?
That nasty dead leg he has. Bryce Young's averaging 8 yards per carry right now. That's more than any running back.
I can't believe this stat.
But that dead leg he has,
we need to run him. We need to run him more.
Niggas lagging right on the field. Put some respect on BY9's name. The truth. Sick of the bullshit. But if he came out into the fucking hurricane throwing lame ass ducks the whole day, that's what fucking Cody Lack and company were projecting. They were projecting him to come into this hurricane throwing ducks, and they wanted him to throw nothing but interceptions. And guess what? That didn't fucking happen. It was 5 for 5, 68 yards on a 92-yard drive, leading us down to fucking win the game. Put some respect on his fucking name. We don't surround Bryce with weapons. And when we go off and beat the fucking Packers, and we go off and have a 4-game winning streak into the off season, and we got 5 wins this season, y'all better keep the same fucking energy. And y'all know who.
Nah, that's what we want.
Like,
we are. That's our energy.
And I'm out. Y'all, all my brothers, C3 for fucking life. It's in my blood, baby. I love you boys. The day I fucking die.
Love you too.
You ever understand there's a fine line between love and hate? I feel like we two are on that line for G Baby.
No, not me. I always love.
No, he's saying that.
No,
for
him.
He teeters like he either hates us or he loves us.
Yeah, it's always like right on the line with G.
I think you have to just understand a certain personality, a certain temperature, a certain energy. And I get it. That's why when G Baby comes hard in the paint after me, I know he's going to call me his white Italian brother in 2 seconds. You know, so I don't think he totters. I just think he's so passionate, and he only has a line between black and white, not literally, not racial black and white, but even though he says the N-word like crazy.
That's been the topic of conversation recently.
Yeah, which, by the way, my black brother who makes me feel cool sometimes. No wonder you be smoking in the bathroom trying to keep your old lady happy. She looked fly as fuck in that picture, and you are cool as shit. But look at this. Let me pull up your fucking balling ass Curtis Samuel.
Oh man, we're gonna get stuck on this. Dude,
No, I'm not
Curtis
gonna get stuck
Samuel,
on it.
dude, we need
Never
Curtis
had
Samuel.
more than 851 yards receiving.
Yeah, that's not all on him. It's not
Oh
all
my,
on him.
but fucking
Not all
no
on him.
shit.
It's not all on him. He was misused.
You're right. You know what? It's not on him.
Carolina, he was misused. Didn't
No.
ever use him.
You know what's
correctly.
wrong? You know what? It's not. Actually, you know what the fuck it is? It is on him. He's never even
Yeah,
played, and he's only played one season in 17 games.
Yeah, it's still better than whatever shit we got going on. And we still never used him correctly.
You
And
stupid.
they always had a number one wide receiver that they were getting the ball to, either DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. Bro, he's a good player, man.
He was drafted with Christian McCaffrey to basically be exactly like Christian McCaffrey.
I know.
Right?
Duplication of talent, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was they were trying to go for versatility that year, and they just became
I just want to hear him say it's not only on him, where the motherfucker has only played one season. In his whole fucking career, he's only played one season. And in that one full season he played, he only had 656 yards. So, you know what? Fuck you and your look. Curtis Samuel is good when he's out there. He is a Swiss Army knife. But to act like all of a sudden this motherfucker is an answer for anything, you guys have always been overrating this dude. Look, we've all been happy and excited rooting for him, but the motherfucker is not as game changing as you guys make him out to be. Next call.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your band, 100 Bands. Just had a quick thought. Okay, so Bryce Young, and then we had Ritter with Atlanta. They went to battle in the muck, in the shit, and into the thick of it. All right, so Ritter strikes me as a quarterback that is factory made, meaning he can play indoors and he can excel at certain things. But I got to give credit where it's due to Bryce. The dude won in a gritty, grimy kind of way. We grinded it out. It wasn't the greatest performance in my opinion, but I did see a flash there. So just curious what your guys' thoughts were on factory-made quarterbacks versus somebody that has an intangible, and is there a little bit of that dog in this Bryce? And, I don't know, is it worth pursuing and moving forward with? Appreciate the pod. Been listening for a long time. Thank you guys very much. Love to all. Merry Christmas.
Appreciate you, man. 100 Bands, we appreciate it. I mean, listen, he basically asked $1 million questions like, do we see that dog in Bryce? Do we see somebody that can continue to elevate players around him, elevate his own performance? Again, I don't feel like this season has answered any of those questions fully. And I think it's been an impossible scenario for him to answer any of those questions.
Yeah.
The simple truth that people don't really want to hear is it's going to take another year, if not two, to really know what we have in Bryce. And even then, that's like hoping that you know what you have in him at that point in time.
And
right. There's a potential that we don't know, and we don't keep him, and he goes somewhere else and he
he has that. He shows what that potential is, right?
Or or never meets that potential that could have been.
Right.
The other thing though is you can't call him. If the question is he a factory made quarterback? The answer is no. Because in my factory, I'm making them taller and stronger and faster.
Isn't that what he's talking about? He was talking about Desmond Ridder is the one that was factory made.
Okay. Okay, I got you. All right, 2 more calls and then ice ups, and then we'll go. How about this? I thought we were gonna be done by 10:30.
Yeah, what's up, guys? This is Al. Greg, CK, Craig, and Cody. That's it. But
whoever
yeah, I think we should keep it. I think we should keep Evero. He's a good coordinator, and the offensive woes contribute to the defense looking so good, but also the same bad numbers that CK was talking about. When you have an offense that can't move the ball at all, and they're constantly giving the team the ball right here, like on the 30-yard line, 40-yard line, of course the teams are going to run. They're not really going to pass a lot. So I think he's a good coordinator. I think we should try to keep him. But I don't know if he'll want to stay. But I think we should try to keep him. And please, no more Taylor. Please get him out of there. He's one of the guys that was infighting or whatever. So get him out of there. Cold as fucking Jacksonville. Later, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Final call of the night goes to my bastard son. You're lucky I let you come home for this moment.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. Yeah, I'm laughing at y'all's argument about this defense because everything that Cody is saying,
That's what people have been saying about Bryce Young.
Cody is saying is what Twitter is saying to Cody about Bryce Young.
No,
about what
except we're talking about real things.
Everything Vero is doing, people are saying Bryce Young is doing. I just find it hilarious. You were not a top 10 defense. No, we give up the 11
numbers said different.
Yards.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
you
they're
stupid.
The numbers said different.
Oh, number. I thought you said
because our offense, and then they just run the ball on us.
They do,
and we give up 70%. Please, in the red zone. Yeah.
You're talking about yards, but not the other parts that are the most important.
Listen to the call, fellas.
To me, I think he's all right as a defensive coordinator, but we just went through this with Frank hiring an all-star coaching staff, and look how that turned out. People were stabbing each other in the back. Just let the new head coach pick his guys. If he wants Vero back, cool, but let the head coach pick who he trusts the most and what he wants to implement, put in. That's all I got. Cody, don't be a hypocrite. All right?
Hypocrite.
Stop it.
I'm talking about actual numbers, dude. Actual numbers. When people talk to me about Bryce, they do the hypotheticals of, oh, his numbers would be this if he was on this team. Okay, I'm talking about the actual numbers. That when it comes to defensive leaders, that there are now multiple publications that have shit like this that say in yards allowed, the Panthers are number 3. That's a real fucking number.
Hey, what did they say about points allowed per game by this defense?
Okay, how is that all on Vero? I've said all that we don't have an offense.
You can't say that these are not these are on Vero and then pick stats that you don't like and say how are they on
I mean,
Vero.
that's the point that I'm saying
because
here
they're
is
good on these stats. It's a Vero, right. And then these stats I don't like. How is that a Vero's fault?
Yeah, because he's been missing more than half of his defense all year.
You would have been a great magician.
He's been able to do that, dude. It's
Look over here as I jerk off on your girlfriend.
He's been able to do that, dude. Thank you, Roosevelt.
Okay.
Roosevelt.
All right, those are all the calls tonight. Did we ever mention that Justin Houston got released?
Nope. That's how much he didn't matter to this team.
Okay. I thought I had a great tweet about this.
You did.
I mean, maybe not great, but Joe Person came. He was like, "What will you remember?" Oh, I said, I did. It was Joe Person said, "What would you remember about the Justin Houston era?" And I said, "Nothing. I forgot he was on the team." And you know what? I'm not lying. I am not lying about that. As someone who has watched every game, every snap, except for the few I've fallen asleep in a couple of times because, but does a crazy long podcast that's 3.5 hours that dissects everything to the I forget. I don't remember seeing his number. Maybe 1 or 2 games, like 7 games ago. I truly had no memory that he was on the team. And not that I'm like, he is unmemorable.
I mean, he has been.
I don't even know if he's played snaps, dude.
I find it hilarious that he wants to go to a contender. Like, yeah, dude, no shit.
That's what he should have done. And we should have got Melvin Ingram. We should have gotten like 3 other players, Jadavian Clowney.
Clowney's the one that Kevin's been pounding the table.
I know, and he wasn't wrong.
He was right. I liked Clowney. I didn't.
How about this? Would this team be notably different if we would have gone Clowney and Hopkins? Yeah, I think we're in the 6.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, Frank Reich has a job. You get Clowney and Frank and Hopkins. Frank Reich might still have a fucking career.
If you did that,
timing.
They'd get hurt.
Oh, and then the last thing that I added for the.
We didn't even talk about this. Dude, we're gonna have to make a separate show for like the preview.
I know. I know. Right? We never even get to it. No, just a couple interesting facts. After 2 straight seasons of playing on Christmas, the Green Bay Packers visit the Carolina Panthers. I pulled this off of a Packer website in case you couldn't tell. It ties for the latest visit to Carolina, or that's for the Packer, including the postseason. The Packers are 11-6 against the Panthers.
Okay, not surprising.
Yeah, the Packers are 5-4 at Carolina and are looking for their first win as a road team in the series since a 30-23 victory in 2011.
Oh, what about the year that Peppers ripped down the sign?
No, that was Cam that ripped down the sign. And then Peppers tried to take the ball away from Cam when he was trying to give it to.
And so we won that game then, clearly?
Yeah, we won. That was 2015.
Right.
That was when they changed the sign, the policy for signs in the on the front row.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what's the policy now?
It's like you can't have a certain size sign any longer on the front row.
So Tapper, bring it back. Bring it back.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Because my StreamYard's frozen.
You are frozen, but we can hear you just fine. Each of the last 4 games and 6 of the last 7 games have been decided by 8 points or less. The Packers have scored 24 plus points in 15 of 17 games against the Panthers in the regular and postseason, including in each of the last 10 contests. New stat for me, scoring 24 plus points beats the Carolina Panthers 100 out of 101 times, it feels like.
Right.
And this top 10 defense is going to hold this Packers offense to -6 points.
Hey, by the way, man, hey, real quick, shout out to the homie Jay Thomas with the $9.99. He says, thanks you guys for the overtime. And we appreciate y'all, man.
I have to pee too, so I am really pushing it again. And let's do this. It's the final segment of the longest running Panthers podcast. And when I say the longest running Panthers podcast, this bitch started at 9. It's 12:32. We've been going for 11 years. We're about to add another show just because we can't preview the fucking game going ahead because you beautiful, beautiful people and all your beautiful calls. But now it's time to ice some fools up.
Yeah.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. That's right. It's our homage to Steve Smith. No one's safe. I've iced up my wife. I've iced up myself. Maybe. Well, there's one person safe. But other than that, he's not even a person.
Jesus.
You're right. He's not a person. He's more than. No, I'm Catholic. More than. But 15-year-olds in Oklahoma are welcome to be ice up. Anybody is welcome. I need one thing before I get too deep into my ice up segments. I can't remember my last one. And tell me, did I do this one? Oh, it's so gross. Not that. Did I do this one last week?
Oh no, dude.
Oh
no,
God.
you did not do that one. No.
Okay, well, I got a couple then. Now I got a couple.
I got three of them.
All right. So Aiden Mais Serposki. What a interesting ethnic background. Aiden Mais Serposki is no longer employed by the U.S. Senate. The Maryland Democrats office said in a statement to NBC News on Saturday, which was first obtained by Politico. We will have no further comment. Well, Senator Ben Cardin's office has had to excuse me. I get the sneezes when I see pictures of aides getting butt fucked on their office. Ben Cardin had to let go of his
butt fucked is such a crazy term.
Why? I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Just butt fucking, dude. I don't know.
Hey, really? This dude's getting smashed. Look. He got smashed in his own sex video that his boyfriend filmed of him in his boss's office. But
apparently that's where Sotomayor was elected to the Senate.
Conduct. How about this?
Yeah.
How about this? This is he's been let go because of poor judgment. This is conduct unbecoming a Democrat.
Tony,
Even though it was
read the comment. Tony, you gotta read the comment.
It was butt coming. It was not unbecoming. It was butt coming.
Getting AIDS. Oh my god.
Oh gosh, I didn't say that one. All right, so that's my first ice up pick. I'm a ping pong or ball sack to you.
Oh, bro. So listen, hey, if ever you're going to smash up someone's house and their own personal property, make sure that person doesn't have a fucking golf cart, dude.
Hey, come on!
Oh, into the fucking wall.
Oh, just
North Carolina, dude.
Just fucking ran right over him, dude. Oh, I love that. Hey, yeah, if you're gonna.
Oh, he's underneath it too. Shit.
Look. So it's doing shit and just
man. Oh, you saw it just run over it there.
And that dude's big too. He's sitting on that thing and letting him just
yeah, he's not getting up early.
Yeah, so if you're gonna throw a rock through someone's window, dude, make sure they don't have a fucking golf cart, dude. Ice up.
All right, my second ice up pick. This one goes to something that Panther Pickles sent out. I mean, he just tweeted it, but I got a real problem with this. Somewhere, and Cam Loops, wherever the fuck this is, I don't even give a fuck where it is.
Let me see.
A $350 per night sex doll escort. So I guess this is that these high-end sex dolls, which are wild, by the way. If you ever go Google like real doll or whatever, like these, they're like $8,000 or $7,000. It's fucking bananas. But it's so expensive now that you are renting the sex doll for a night. But I gotta believe it would be cheaper to rent a real hooker.
Right, than a fucking sex doll for $350.
So my two things that there comes the ice up pick is one is you paying this much money for a rental. Do you know that in when like they just first discovered the new world basically, and like Europeans were, that pineapples were so, that's why pineapples are a symbol of fucking wealth, right? Is because they were so rare and scarce. They were so expensive, and they are like the fucking fruit candy of the world, that they used to have the ability to rent pineapples for parties, and like you would put it out on the table and be like, I'm rich as fuck, I got a pineapple, and you see somebody being like, let's cut that bitch up, and you're like, shut the fuck, no, I gotta return that bitch.
Thomas DeVries says make sure you're first in line though, right?
Right. The other thing is that I think there's a refabrication company for sex dolls, like where they go tune them back up. Imagine working on that. That's your job, and you work in Taiwan, and you got to scoop and scrape and restore. You look at those people that are like art, like that restore paintings and shit like that, and you see them out there doing all of their great work, and then you're like, I'm gonna restore this fake vagina so 900 other jerk offs can not jerk off. That's my next ice up. I got one more after that. So
I got two more.
Well, let me go since you guys.
Okay, yeah. That's okay. Get in there.
Mine's just gonna be. I think we didn't get a chance to really go into too much depth on this. We might have touched base on it. I'm not even mad about the take that he has. I find it funny that he's the one that has this take. So hold on, let me present this. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Hopefully, you guys will see it. Is that pretty clear?
Hit Control plus like 4 times.
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe
one more.
Perfect.
All right. So Rashard Mendenhall used to play for the Steelers back when they were like almost considered a dynasty with Ben Roethlisberger at the height of their situation. And he made this tweet, and it's basically says, "I'm sick of average white guys commenting on football. Y'all not even good at football. Can we please replace the Pro Bowl with an all black versus all white bowl so these cats can stop trying to teach me who's good at football? I'm better than your GOAT." And essentially saying that if you're white, you shouldn't have an opinion about football. You know.
Oh, and then he went further though.
Right. Oh, he does. But
I didn't even see what his after comments were.
No, I'm better than your GOAT.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
And so there was obviously there were a lot of people really pissed off about this. There were a lot of people. Some of the funniest things I've ever seen was one comment. Somebody said, "So who gets Mahomes?" And somebody commented under that.
Oh, that one made me trip.
They said historically they would belong to the black team, so it's not our rules. But nonetheless,
what? See, this is this. They don't like the one. Not they. That was wrong. I should not say that. The one drop rule is like PFF. It's like you use it when you want to, and you don't use it when you don't want to.
But by the way, the funny part about this, and the reason that this is hysterical coming from Rashard Mendenhall, is he had it was an incredibly ironic moment in the Super Bowl when he was playing the Packers. And it happened to be that this guy, Clay Matthews, caused him to fumble in the Super Bowl that cost the Steelers their championship, and they've got the receipts on it. There goes that fumble, and the Packers jump on it, and that led Aaron Rodgers to his first Super Bowl victory that year. So I find it funny that one of the greatest linebackers in the entire history of the NFL, being Clay Matthews, number specific, whether you like him or not is your opinion, is that he happened to be the one that caused him to have one of the worst moments of his entire career. So to Mendenhall, I say ice up.
Ice up as well. And I think this is where we have to. I don't want to make.
I just want to say that white team defensive front seven, bro. You could build a fucking squad, boys.
You could build an offense.
Man, like you want to talk about like we'll put the Bosa family out there. We'll put the Watt family out there.
But they got us beat in the secondary, bro.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, dude. Will
Jason
Compton,
what was his name?
Put out the best tweet. He was like, bro, we're going to have to play zone coverage the whole time, dude. It's like, there is no man-to-man against the black receivers.
I just think this is that first is I understand. I'm not going to talk. Actually, I'm not.
But can I just say this?
I mean, I have a lot to say about it. I just think that being dumb when there's a lot of real racial shit in the world, right, that needs addressing. From the justice system to all these different things. But I think that this type of simplicity of understanding from people sets the conversation the wrong direction.
Yeah. Ryan Clark for ESPN, he said the same thing. A lot of people have been having fun with this. Like people have been making people have been making the all white team versus the all black team. Like people are saying that white people we get to draft Puka Nacua because let's be real, he wouldn't be able to say the N-word, so that means he would got to be on.
That's a good line. If you can or can't say the N-word, really tells you that.
Shout out to Will Compton. He was the one that said that.
He's black too, right?
No, Will Compton's the guy from Bussin' with the Boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I just now had this pop up on my Discord. Apparently, PrizePicks says day 7 of Pickmas is Winter Take All Superflex. So anybody interested in doing that? Figured that'd be a good thing since that just dropped in 12:06.
I wonder if they'll do like white versus black instead of goblins versus demons. Amazing. Okay. Can I do my ice up pick, my final one?
Okay.
And this one just made me laugh, bro.
Yeah, mine.
I don't even know what to ice up here. This tweet I saw that said it said, always remember the tiny details of your outfit before making an announcement via social media. This guy just proposed to his girlfriend, obviously. So they're showing off the ring. I showed this to a few people, and it took a while, and they were like, what am I looking at? Yeah, but and it took me a second too, but I cued in on this. Yeah. She is wearing a bracelet that says "Cum Slut," and showing off her ring. So I immediately tried to give them grace and go, maybe that's why he married her. But then I was like, I don't think that's probably good. So don't wear your "Cum Slut" bracelet when you're announcing that you're only one person's.
But what her
guess what? You're not. You're not. She's gonna be taking that shit off.
Dude, you know what's hilarious? She probably one of her girlfriends probably made that for her, and she wasn't expecting to get proposed
or it's
to
fake.
on
Or
that
the
day.
shit's fake as fuck. All right, that's my last ice up. Are you done, Cody?
No, I got 2 more.
2 more. I gotta pee then. Go.
Now, it'll go fast. Hey, why does anyone in the world take shots that are on fire? It seems like you deserve every bad thing coming to you.
Bye-bye.
Oh God, dude.
At the end, he's like rubbing fire off the front of his face, dude. How stupid do you have to be, man?
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Oh, dude, it makes my butthole clench every time I watch it, dude. Oh man, that's a rough one.
Oh man.
God damn it. Tony has the bladder of a little girl. I wanted him to see this last one, dude.
Give it a second. He'll be back.
God, freaking Tony, man. Hey, when Tony comes back, you don't gotta shame him. Be like, hey man, you're not the only one trying to get out, bro. Wait for a 20-second ice up pick.
In a world where one man can't hold his bladder any longer than a man in a wheelchair.
So sad. So sad. But fuck it, I'll just show it. And I'll show it again when Tony comes here. Listen, whenever you're caught red-handed, it's best to get rid of the evidence.
Oh my God, girl. Like your mouth are you fucking for real? Why the fuck are you gonna try to play me like this? Like you're with a whole other bitch. You told me you love me. Like
what bitch you talking about?
Are you serious right now?
What bitch you talking about?
You seen a bitch, right? Yes.
Ain't no bitch.
I told you we should have came.
But one, I'm pretty sure now after watching this again that it's probably
fake, but yeah, but
it has to be fake, dude. It has to be. Yeah, there's no way it's real, but it's still hilarious. You saw fucking play it anyway. Yeah, Tony, you gotta get rid of the evidence when you have an opportunity.
Like your mouth are you fucking for real? Why the fuck are you gonna try to play me like this? Like you're with a whole other bitch. You told me you love me. Like
I would have thrown this bitch over. I would have cut the other one and thrown this man over. Look, she got a fake butt and a D under there.
She got an annoying fucking voice, I'll tell you that much. All right, that's it, man. We're done.
All right. This is the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're here every Tuesday night, Friday night for the Friday free for all, Sundays post games. Hey, guys, we do this every fucking week all year long. Want to wish everybody a happy and Merry Christmas or happy holidays. If you're not Christian, if you're Christian, Merry Christmas. Or you could just say this, because I was just trying to be nice about a holiday weekend and we don't got to make it too crazy. Or you can ice me up. Man, I love you guys on this panel.
Love you, boys.
I love the people in the chat. And I wish everybody the happiest next 6 days until I see you next time.
Right.
Cody, take us out of here.
C3 Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.